In the middle of the night or early Friday morning, depending upon where you are in the world, a group of experienced comics professionals get together to examine and instruct about the art form that they love. That's great comic artwork on Comics by Night, Fridays at 5 a.m. Eastern, here on the Indie Comics Network, indiecomicsnetwork.com.
What was that? This is not a charade.
What a crowd. What a crowd. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of this new year. This is episode 98. We are going to be very, very soon, 2 weeks, in fact, we're going to be celebrating our 100th episode, and there will be free giveaways every hour. So that's 3 giveaways. Plus, we might be giving away the pork pie.
Possibly Pedro.
Pork pie.
Hey.
And Pedro. You all could win Pedro.
Yeah, that's happened before. And
I gotta be careful with that, right? Because he is the one black guy on the panel. We can't, it's not, he would be a willing.
Yeah, I mean, I do identify as a delicious piece of chocolate. So yeah, like that has happened before. And that's all I'm gonna say about that, just like Forrest Gump.
Once you go dark meat.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
what is that? The blacker the cherry, the sweeter the juice.
No, that's for chicks, dude. That's for chicks. That's for chicks.
Is that what they say? No, I don't know. What was that in the
once
in the
you
movie
go black,
Hairspray?
Yeah, once you go black and then you come back, that's one.
Yeah.
Actually, I have tattooed on my back, black don't crack, actually.
About the darker the chocolate. I can't remember that exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Chocolate covered bacon.
There you go.
Did you guys have a good New Year? Randy, how was your New Year?
3 up from there. I'm looking to block that guy. I'm not quite sure how to do it.
Oh.
The bot thing?
My weekend was great. Everything's fantastic. The daughter had a scare on, what was it, Tuesday? And Monday was fine. I can't seem to remove it.
You don't have to worry about him. He's on Twitch.
Oh.
On Twitch, yeah.
Are we streaming?
I can't get rid of him.
We're streaming to Twitch, baby.
We're everywhere.
Wow.
We're streaming to 3 different Facebook locations: YouTube, Twitch, and X.
Don't we have to wiggle our chest to
going
run on
nuts.
Twitch?
We love you all.
Yeah.
Thank you so
What do you
much
think
for
I'm wearing
watching.
this revealing T-shirt?
There you go. Hold on.
Please
Yes.
please don't get naked.
Yeah.
Yeah, Whiskey's like, I swear I'll be done if you get naked. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Shirtless episode's number 100 anyway, so it's all
Oh
good.
yeah.
I'm the kind of guy that starts naked and gets money for putting his clothes back on.
We always do with this show with no pants on anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a ballsy show.
Yeah. Very ballsy.
But cha. Yeah. Too bad I don't have the nice drum roll for you there. Randy, your New Year, how was it? Was it all right?
New Year was good. New Year was quiet outside of the shooting and the fireworks going off into the air at midnight. It was all great. So
We've got dishes in the background. Hold on.
Had a quiet one here at home. So somebody doing dishes in the background.
Whiskey's doing dishes.
Whiskey's great new microphone. I can hear him slurping his coffee.
Yeah,
dude. While he's talking.
This is a spy
hear his
microphone.
pulse.
Yeah.
Sorry, lads.
Not a problem. It just adds to the transparency, buddy.
Pedro, man, how was your weekend? How was your holiday?
Oh, dude, I cooked reverse seared 4 tomahawk steaks for the family. It was an awesome grilling New Year's.
Nice.
Starting with a lot of work. So yeah, 2024 doesn't seem like a crisis year like everybody's babbling about.
So you've been in 2024. You're ahead of us in time, right?
No, he's in Eastern.
No.
You're Eastern? Okay.
Yeah, Eastern time.
Oh, it's Craig that's ahead of us an hour.
Yeah.
He should have let us know what 2024 is going to be like.
Yeah.
I saw this TikToker who was complaining.
Russ and Glenn are 6 hours ahead of us too.
So. Yeah,
but that's a British future. I wouldn't listen to that.
Right. But I saw this TikToker who was complaining about 9/11 and didn't understand why people in England didn't let us know about the towers so we could stop it. Since they're in the future, they would have
For one, was he serious? And for two, where can we clip that?
I believe she was serious. Yeah. I've been started watching a new show called What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh yeah. I've seen that show.
So new clips incoming in the weeks to come.
Nice.
Okay.
So a lot of good things in there. A lot of it's not safe for work though, so I don't know if I can share it. But Whiskey, how was your holiday?
Well, the New Year's celebration was great. I just got lots of libations, and I got him partly Irish.
Libations.
Hey, that hoity.
I stayed up shopping on my phone. That's what I was doing.
Okay.
I was looking at guitar picks.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited, guys. I'm really exciting.
Yeah,
guys,
it sounded depressing, but then you said guitar picks, and it got good again. Yeah.
Well, I got I was able to sell off some old pickups that I wasn't using. And so I bought a cheap lap steel. And so I'm going to learn lap steel.
Oh, nice.
Last Sunday, I broke a string on my dulcimer. I happened to have my backup with me that I was going to have tuned to play the last song, but I had to rob a string off of it. So I wasn't able to. So I was going to sit out the last song, but one of the guys was like, just play the bass. And I'm like, well, I can't play guitar anymore, but I'll try the bass. So I picked up the bass and I played it. Right.
Nice.
And my family was like, so when did you start playing bass? I said, let me see. So service started at 9:15. I started about 8:55 is when I started playing the bass. And they was like, it sounded really good. And I go, yeah, I'm going to go get into bass. So I went and I traded off some guitars that I'm not playing and got a new bass yesterday.
Oh, nice. But you went like Casey and the Sunshine Band bass, or are you doing like?
Oh no, I got the same model that old what's his name? Paul McCartney uses.
Oh,
but I got it in black transparent instead of sunburst.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Nice.
P bass or something?
No, it's it's like a violin bass.
It's like a violin, yeah.
Yeah, chambered body and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's fun. I like the vintage look. I like the sound, and it's light, so it doesn't hurt my back when I play. Because those things are super heavy, right?
Yeah.
So
well, it depends. The P bass by Fender is not that heavy.
No, it's not that heavy, but they're very expensive.
My brother has it, and my brother has it. Awesome
I'm
bass.
just not. Yeah, it's all right.
Mhm.
I liked the Horner
Yeah.
because it's a shorter. It's got a shorter scale length and everything.
Yeah,
too.
that too.
So it helps out for my.
Mhm.
It was funny. So I kind of told the music guys who had never been to that music store before, was telling them kind of about what I was going through, and they're like, "Man, you're crippled and you can play that bass better than we can." And I go,
Mm.
it's all the rules. Like, and so my son started getting interested
Yeah.
in music
Oh,
yesterday, and I was
that's
asking him tons
awesome.
of questions about music. And
That's
I
awesome.
was explaining. I said, "Look, it's the same rules apply to every instrument.
Mhm.
Same rhythm, same rules of rhythm, same rules of notation. Everything's the same, man. So you can literally, if you learn that, you can pick up any instrument. And as
Yeah.
soon as you get the use to the technique, you can play it.
Mhm.
It's just figuring out
Another thing,
how the
like
rules apply."
since you're starting on bass right now, a metaphysical approach to it. It's know what's the job of the bass
Right.
on songs. Because normally when guitar players start playing bass, it sounds like a bass being played by a guitar player.
Right. Yeah.
You catch my meaning? So learn what's the job of the bass, like
Yeah.
holding the back end of the song, and dude, the world
Right.
will just open to you.
Yeah. Well, now I'm like, I'm a dulcimer player. I
Yeah.
used to be a guitar player.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I'm learning the roles of all these different instruments. It's fun.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of time to apply to it though, obviously, with all the
Mhm.
stuff going on, but things are good. We had a really good week last week with Fun My Comic. A little drama popped up around that. We'll talk about that a little
Oh.
bit this morning. We'll bring those things up.
But
Speaking
of drama, can you hear it? Can you hear it?
Are some birds screwing outside?
No, the thing is, like, my neighbor just like took the calf away out of a cow, and it's making a lot of noise.
Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah. Like,
well, that's nice.
Oh, so,
welcome.
Yep.
Welcome to Nerd Bacon.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and welcome the chat. See who's in the house today. Chat, let us know how you're doing in this new year so far. A lot of people in the house. Yeah. A lot of people in the house. We got Rona's Reviews is with us here today. Good morning, nerds. Happy New Year. Levi Skeen is here as well. Hail to the chat. And bring on the client list. I mean, bacon. Yes. I love it.
They released that last
is
night
in the house.
2 names. Anyway.
Yeah. First bacon of the year. Let's go. Yes. I'm really looking forward to that Epstein list.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing surprising.
Nothing surprising on there, I'm sure. Dr. Mask Retro Elixirs in the house. Hail, nerds. Today is a good day to have a good day. I do agree. John A. Douglas in the house. Good morning, gentlemen. It's great to have you here. We got the comic book black belt himself, Russ Leach. Hail all. Good to have you here. Nicholas Gears in the house. Another wonderful creator out there making some comics. Let's go already. My arteries are hardening watching this bacon.
Nice.
There you go. Got Hojo in the house. I've been in the stream since last year. My only dad.
I haven't
been in the day. Yeah.
As long as you promise, Hojo.
I'll tell you, 2023 just seems like a week ago.
Yeah.
We got Agent Zero in the house. Welcome. Hey, everyone. Busy working and lurking.
Working and lurking.
Wow.
Nice.
Yep.
Eating his gherkins.
You know what? I have a business idea I want to run by you guys.
Okay.
There's something that happens like every like soccer World Cup. Like they come with like basically like an album, and you buy like little stickers of the players. So if we come with an album for the Epstein list, would that be would that be like that would be awesome, dude.
Ooh, band name called it Epstein list.
Nice.
Sure, somebody's already got that.
Yeah.
Like the Alan Parsons Project.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The Epstein list.
Yeah. Coming to you live.
Yeah. I'm sure that'll get a lot of hits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, no. We're never mind.
Chocolate covered bacon.
Yeah. Got Critical Blast in the house. Welcome, RJ. It's good to have you here. Comics people who haven't blocked me yet.
Yeah.
There's some blocking going on. Speaking of that, one of those people will be on here on the 25th. I'll talk more about that here in just a moment. Let me see who else do we have here going on. We got Oni64. Oi. Good to have you here. Hicks Villain is in the house. Good to have you here as well. And there's my buddy Glenn. Happy New Year to everyone working on the coloring of Randy and Russ's cover for their REH Epic as we speak. Very much looking forward to
Glenn. Oh, sorry.
Buckle up, everyone. Here comes 2024.
All I did for that
24
cover
months,
is say, "Hey, that looks cool."
Yeah,
Oh, I love it when that's what I have to do is
Yeah.
that looks cool.
that looks cool.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm been working on these 2 pages for this client, and they give me very little direction on like what the character is supposed to look like because they're just fodder, right?
They just know what
It's-
they don't like.
It's
That's
well,
it.
it's a mom
Okay.
that's supposed to get her face blown off, right?
Oh boy.
And I
Yes.
keep going
Intense.
between I started drawing her like like the frumpy like kind of mom, and then I wound up settling for like the mom from The Incredibles, like
Okay.
like Elastigirl. So I wound up going for like that, right? So kind of a hot mom, a little bit, big thighs, and
Oh.
but I don't know. I keep like mentally thinking I should go back to making her look older, but I'm not sure. So I think I'm gonna run it by the client today because the next page I'm doing is a big splash page of her getting her face blown off, and which
That's always
can't
fun.
wait to draw that. Can't wait to draw that. That weird
Making
like
her endearing, right?
that was that was the I think the most fun part about doing a zombie book was all of the gratuitous gore.
Gore. Yep.
Yeah, just the people like, you like drawing gore? I'm like, yeah, I love it. It's fun. It's just
I mean,
just squigglies and blobs and stuff.
Yeah, but saying yes to that kind of paints a picture of you. Like do you like drawing gore?
Oh, saying yes to
Yeah.
that. Some people are like, oh well, saying yes to that that job. It's a fun job. I like it. It's not very long. It's only like 10 pages, so I'll be done with it next week, or even over the weekend. I'll be done with it. The critical, what is not critical? The Terminal Kill launches next week, I think, on Kickstarter.
Oh.
He wants to run
Nice.
Kickstarter before he moves over to Fund My Comic because he's one of those big movie guys. So he's got friends over there, and they're already gonna
The
give
big
it a
movie
project we
guys.
love.
Yeah. Know what Kickstarter is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna give it a. They're already gonna. I guess he's already got it lined up to be a projects we love before it even starts. So just shows me it's all political,
Just
right?
Just as long as they don't find out who you are. Anyway.
Yeah, he's actually not worried about that at all. He hopes that the CG crowd comes out and spades for us.
There we go.
And I hope so too. It's a
Go with
grand
money,
project that we're working on. Okay, so guess what? So we're going to be talking today about the New Year's revelation, not the revolution, right?
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
How there's a hidden cost to just doing business as usual. This whole idea that, we're just going to keep doing the same thing we've always done. We're going to look at some news. We've talked about the news. We've looked at all the stuff that we've looked at. We have some new news things to talk about today. We'll go over that. But today we are going to talk about.
I'll be right back. Sorry.
Okay.
So we are going to talk about how
Gotta go.
if
chase
we
it
just
down the backyard.
yeah, right. We're going to talk about how if we just keep doing things the way that we've been doing them, what that might cost us in the long run in this new year. So we're going to talk about those things. In 3 weeks, on the 25th, we will have Eric July on the channel.
Really?
So he's going to come on. He's going to talk about. We'll have a list of questions. I'll have a list of questions for him. Obviously, we'll be completely respectful. We don't get into the middle of that drama stuff here, but I want to hear what he thinks about building a brand and what his plans are for his company. In this, he obviously isn't going the route of distribution, but it does look like maybe he's going animation. He's doing these little shorts and stuff. I just want to pick his brain, see how far he's wanting to go with that stuff, and I want to ask him, a few other good questions. We're not going to take it easy on him. We want to pick his brain, right? And want to get to the kind of what motivates him and what drives him. And we're also hopefully in the next week or two, maybe even this morning, if he's available, going to get EVS on to talk about this idea of quality over quantity, because he seems to still be holding a pretty good fan base, even being as late as he is on things. Randy, you and I both got that book, right? The Wrecked Planet, right?
Yeah.
It was insanely late. insanely late. But the quality of the stuff that came in the box that I didn't even ask for, was just
incredible.
I mean,
was it like three other comics and a high quality toy?
Yeah. It was like
not to mention the sticker and the button, and not button, but the little plastic thing and a couple of cards. I
think I did $35 was my total for what I was getting, or something like that. Maybe 45. I can't remember what it was. It was like the book and shipping. Like I ordered a book and shipping. And got a ton of stuff.
Here. Yep.
Yeah. And so I want to talk about that. I want to talk about I want to ask him what motivates that. And, I think that right now we've got a lot of especially that watch this show and that come back to playbacks and stuff that we have contact with through our circle of creators that are either new or younger, right? Like in their career, they've got a few books out, or maybe they're putting their first book out. And I really want to give them information from all these people that influence them that maybe you're not going to get through the Twitter haze, because there's a lot of weird Twitter drama and stuff like that. And everyone wants to kind of spin a narrative one way or the other. And then you've got, diehard fans on both sides that tend to further shift a narrative. And then you've got haters on both sides that want to, shift a narrative. I just want to get to the bottom of how do we improve as a comic book industry in this coming year?
Yeah.
I want to get as much money from the market share as possible for all of us. That's my goal. That's my goal. So hopefully we can get them and some other well-known creators on that we can talk to. We've talked with Kelsey. We've talked with Mike Barron, Gary Martin. We've talked with a lot of I would like to get Chuck Dixon on this year as well. I got to try to find contact for him and talk with him.
Good talk.
I think it'd be fun to talk with Chuck. Very interesting guy. So
I think you can just email him.
I think you can too.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I think I got him on Facebook.
Yeah, we'll try to get a hold of him and get him on here. But I'm looking forward to really getting creative and getting out of the box with some of the ideas that might catapult us into the future.
Because it doesn't matter what their politics are. If they're marketing and they're making money and they're making a living, they're doing something right.
Yeah. How did you do
something there that we can figure out and apply to what we're doing? Absolutely.
Yeah. And they're all going to have ideas on what they think might need to change with the evolving market. So I want to pick everybody's brain. I want to get to the bottom of it so that we can somehow be successful.
I got to meet Aaron Sparrow yesterday.
Boom. Cool. Yeah.
Dude, very approachable guy. Like I was surprised. Dude, like we should get him on here.
I would be happy to. Yeah, let's do it.
He's got stories, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, without any further ado, let us do a little news, shall we?
Is it good news?
Well, the top 50 comic books of December.
Not from that headline. No.
They're comic books.
The top 50 comic books for.
Look at how mean and unhappy She-Hulk looks.
They're comic book news. They're not good news.
This is not the best face I've ever seen, John.
Why is Spider-Man holding a bat and Daredevil got a scarf like Bazooka Joe?
Yeah. And a lightsaber.
And a lightsaber.
It's a billy club. That's not a bat.
Is it a billy club? That's a bat.
That's a billy club.
Wicket.
It's a baton.
It's a stick.
That's mighty large to be a baton, but
he's holding a stick.
He's holding a bat.
It's a euphemism.
It's a wicket.
These are units and dollars sales ranking based on sales tracked at point of sale by the Comic Hub system at stores selling American comics around the world. During the period of which these reports were generated, there were over 125 stores using the Comic Hub system. As this is a small, non-random sample of over 3,000 stores selling American comics worldwide, these rankings may not be typical for all stores, but do represent a variety of locations and store emphasis. All right. We always have to say that because 125 stores using Comic Hub, not a lot. Not a lot.
Can't believe they've got 3,000 outlets. Over 3,000.
No, only 125 stores.
Yeah.
They said over 3,000 stores total selling American comics. That's worldwide.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. I think that's a generous number.
I do too.
There used to be 3,000 stores in America. Now it's 3,000 worldwide. And I know of at least one of them that's, I know
9,000.
And I know a lot of those
back when.
I know a lot of those international, worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
They mostly deal in back issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's still skewed. It's not, they're not dealing in modern comics. Guys, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider number 39, Gang War takes it at number 1. There's Marvel. Batman 140 takes number 2. Transformers number 3 takes the 3rd spot.
Who's on Transformers? Like the artists for that one?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
I don't know. That's Skybound, isn't it? Skybound
Image.
owns that or has that license.
Image now. No, it's Image that's doing.
I think
that
it's the Skybound division of Image, isn't it?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Then Amazing Spider-Man number 40 clocks in at number 4.
Must be why he's got the bat.
Yeah. So that's pretty neat.
So we all know them gangs. They all carry bats.
X-Men 29, The Fall of X, brings them number 5. Batman Gargoyle. Gargoyle of Gotham number 2. It's 2 of 4. It's a mature from DC number 6. Moon Knight number 30, number 7. Spider-Gwen Smash number 1. It's number 8. Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong number 3.
Wow.
Brought in the 9th position.
Got to do something.
That's a lot of verses, man.
That is.
Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong versus Vivek versus
the IRS. Oh.
Versus
it's a head-to-head battle with Godzilla and Kong, while the Justice League deal with Godzilla's tail.
Right.
Yeah.
Batman Santa Claus Silent Night, number 1 of 4. Made number 10. I can't believe that is in the top 10.
Well, Moon Knight was the one that surprised me, but I understand Moon Knight right now is running really good, especially compared to the other comics that are out there.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah.
I haven't read it, but I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, and just more of the same stuff there.
Immoral Thor.
Yeah, immoral Thor. I think that would be a little more entertaining than Immortal.
They're already doing it, so why not?
Immoral is just a cape, guys.
You
Cape
know
and
what I'm
hammer.
saying?
That's all you need.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Amoral Thor, anyway.
I don't want to know where he puts the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Thunderbolt.
Oh.
Immoral. How hangs thy hammer?
Yeah. Thunderbolt's
Daredevil
movie currently got actors, I guess, abandoning ship on it pretty hard. So we'll see. Anyway.
I was really hoping, is Daredevil in here?
Yeah, I thought it was above.
Yeah.
Oh, let me look. Daredevil, where was that? Where'd that end up at?
Wonder Woman
11.
number 4. That's a
11.
Daredevil,
19.
There we go. Number
4,
11.
Yeah, 11.
The artist on that, I believe, is a former cover artist for Hybrids.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, Netho
cool.
Diaz is the artist on that one now.
Mm.
He started out on Thunderbolts.
Nice.
Yeah. In fact, that might be one of his issues right there.
Well,
number 26.
Thunderbolts 1. Oh, 26.
Well, at number 26, he'd be, number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a very talented artist.
Cool. Yeah.
Nice guy too.
That's always good.
Yeah, it's always good. So there we go. There's your top 50. We went through the top 10 or so. That's all that really matters. Here we go, man. My guy Rob. Wrote an article.
Oh,
your buddy.
I love this guy.
That ray of sunshine. Yeah.
Okay, it's 2024 and we still don't have our flying cars.
No,
This
we
is getting
don't.
ridiculous.
No, we don't, Rob.
Great opening.
But if
What are you guys doing after this, guys?
if the fabulous worlds of the Jetsons has turned out to be just another broken promise from our childhoods, maybe we can throw a few darts at the calendar from closer range and get a clearer picture of what may be in store for the business over the next 366 days. Is this a leap year? Must be a leap year. Either that or Rob miscounted.
Probably, yeah.
Collectibles, correction, or collapse.
Today feels like 2 days.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And yesterday actually felt like a full week. So
2023 ended on a dour note for the collector's side of the business. Oh, that's putting it nicely. Not only has the market seen some pretty serious reversals of the steep increases in the prices of collectible comics during the pandemic, but there has also been some news disputing the authenticity of certain CGC graded books.
All right, yeah, we got to talk about this, right?
For reholdering CGC has responded with a pledge.
Let's talk about this for a second.
They've responded with a pledge.
In case people don't know about this,
I guess you can poke a hole in the slab and pop it right open.
You certainly can.
Just shocker.
So there's been an update.
System?
There's been an update.
Oh, yeah, beyond. Well, if there's a system out there, there'll be people that game it. The first chance they figure out how to do it. And I guess this has been going on for a while, from what I understand. There was an article about a year and a half ago about some guy with a copy of Boys Comics that kept popping, taking the thing out of the slab and doing a little bit of adjustment to it and sending it back in and getting a higher grade. And he was showing how the same book went from like a 3.0 to like a 6 or 7.
Damn.
So just by pressing it, touching up the cover, sending it back into the right grader or whatever.
They keep updating the list of books they know that are affected.
What the numbers on them, because all of them are coded and numbered.
Yeah, well,
which is funny because of the defect might actually drive the prices up a little higher. once the market bottoms out. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting how that they can like press it or whatever and make it, look better and then up the grading. But like you do the same thing with like, art pieces or whatever, like historic art pieces. You have professionals come in and, touch them up and it's
reframe it, clean it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the video. I didn't save it of the dude. Like, it's like a TikTok. The dude's like popping it open.
Poke bing.
Let's look up scam, because it's a big fat scam.
Well, they made, back when they first slabbed it, I thought they were nothing but making glorified trading cards anyway. You might as well poke a nail through it and tack it to the wall. I mean, through the slab, that is, not through the comic, but it kept anybody from reading and looking through that book. So you have to trust the graders.
Right.
To know their
but
job.
You can open them up.
And to be consistent, which I think is a big hassle.
What is this? Sticky
icky.
Is he going to show the
looks
clip?
Like a goose.
One of these guys got to show see, the thing is, these people do commentaries.
Super
and then like the original clip just gets hidden so far into everything. It's a real like people just make money off these commentaries.
That's a rabbit hole. You can spend a good afternoon on watching everybody talking about the different gradings and
screw it.
The hot comics that are going to be big this week. Yeah.
Oh, Randy.
Screw it. So anyway, so pretty much this guy figured out you could take a heat gun and pop open.
Does it take a heat gun?
Yeah, use a heat gun
with the right pen or whatever. You can just pop it.
No, use a heat gun. Use a heat gun. Apply a little bit of heat to it. It loosens the glue, and then you just pry it open, and then you pull it out. Put a new book in, close it back up, and then put like this contact cement on there, like this super glue stuff.
Oh,
and it just cleans it right up. And so it doesn't even look like it's even been popped open.
It's not even a matter of treating the same book and sending it back in. It's a matter of substituting the book for another lower grade book.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can get a book in as a 9.0, get the slab, pop it, shuffle in a 3.0 that looks pretty on the outside.
Yep.
And nobody will know the difference.
Or even a book that's not
And you
even
take
the same
that
book.
9.8 and you send it back in for another slab.
You
and
pop a reprint in there.
Oh yeah, that
And
too.
you keep the good one.
Oh, that's right. Diaz is doing a Daredevil Black Armor.
Okay, not the
Yep.
main title. Amazing artist though. Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's
Yeehaw.
probably Tester's plastic cement. I know from
Could
modeling
be.
and stuff.
Yeah. You got to make it look good though. You got to be able to put it in there pretty clean.
I didn't hear about that either. So Gregor was taking money
to bump grades. Yeah.
So it's just
yeah.
one big scam.
That's just like all of the really weird stories we heard from Diamond reps or about Diamond reps doing different stuff, and back in the late 90s, early 2000s, taking money to do different things for previews because they were in a position to be able to do it. Some would say it's pretty similar to the referees that look over the Lions games, but that's a whole nother story. Yeah.
All right. Back to the article.
With a pledge to track down the perpetrators and make good on losses suffered by consumers. These are two separate stories, but anything that shakes the already shaky confidence of collectors during a downturn just fans the flames. A drop at prices for back issues was overdetermined by the unsustainable run-up during the pandemic, a general economic climate that left less disposable income in the hands of consumers. The specific collapse of NFTs and many crypto assets whose inflation probably contributed to the silly spending of 2021 and 2022 and the demographics of more core baby boom collectors unwinding their collections compared to the number of buyers.
So I've heard from several different comic book store owners that their back issues collections are booming right now because collectors that are dying, families aren't passing those collections on; they're selling them off.
Oh, that's what Chuck said from Mile High Comics. He said he's passed on a couple of $1 million collections because he couldn't afford them because there's just too many. Too many of those old collectors are dying off.
Yeah, and it's a little more difficult to move them.
There's a wave associated with collecting anyway. Your book is only as good as you can get the next person to pay you for it.
Right, yeah.
That's its real worth, no matter what any price guide or guidebook tells you. It's only and as more of these guys, these old collectors die off and there's not new collectors coming on because the current stuff is so substandard, that collectible market's only going to go so far.
Right.
And there is a definite wave, and right now apparently it looks like we're on that downturn of the wave.
Yeah, I mean, value is only as good as
you can get the next guy to pay for.
Right.
It. Yeah.
Exactly. So, if you've got that key issue, it may not even be a very expensive issue or really one that's sought after, but for the right person, there's no amount of money in the world that they wouldn't spend for that. Mine was Secret Wars #4. Yeah. It wasn't that expensive. It wound up costing me like $12 to get that issue. But for me, that's a $500 book.
It was worth it. Yeah.
Like I love that book. That book made me love comic books. That's the one.
Well, on the bright side of what Chuck said, though, he said that he's made the majority of his income the last few years by taking a large amount of those collections, pairing out the key books, and selling those at value or at collectible value, and taking the rest of them, sticking them in long boxes in his incredibly huge warehouse in Denver, and kicking them out for $3.95 as reading copies.
Yep.
That way you can go through and literally buy a $5 or $10 book for $3.95.
Yeah,
and
can't beat that.
Read it, enjoy it, slab it if you have to, or whatever. You know. But it's kind of reassuring that there's actually readers out there that are keeping him alive, as opposed to collectors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I do want to I kind of want to rewind for just a second. The idea that CGC is going to try to compensate people financially for the losses based around this scam and try to find the people doing it. I think that it's going to be difficult to find the ones doing it. I think it's going to be difficult to find the number of books and how many books are actually affected. They originally said it was like maybe 100 books or something like that, but the list keeps growing. And I think we're into a few hundred books now.
Yeah.
And I think as the list grows, pardon me, I think as the list grows and the financial hits come, I'm worried that this could, well, I'm not worried. I speculate
Concerned.
that this could bankrupt CGC in the end.
That's not, no, what CGC is hoping that they can catch a couple of the major guys and spank them to try to discourage anybody else from trying to do something like that or pull.
Well, I know any losses that they incur, what they're going to wind up doing.
They could barter out for slabbing the collector's books,
and they'll sue them. I mean, if they do find anyone, they'll wind up suing them for the cost of the losses and damages. So,
because really, it's fraud.
It is,
and if they can catch them and prove it, they won't have to pay much to have that person brought up. It's fraud.
Yeah, but it's a hit to the collectibles market. That
it definitely is. Yeah,
I don't know that. It certainly wasn't a good time. I don't know how badly it's going to affect it, but it certainly is a bad time for it.
Well, yeah. Anytime is a bad time for a scandal like that to happen. But right now, especially with disposable income on the down slope, that's got to be rough, and it has to be put to a stop as quickly as possible.
I'm projecting a pretty thin year for 2024 financially for my household. Just based on what I know is coming in, my client list that I've already got set. Like I've only got I probably only got the first 2 quarters, the first half of the year booked out, where as this time last year, I had the full year all the way up till January of this year booked out. So I think it's going to be a rougher year. But I know it's going to be crazy rougher year. Yep.
All across the board.
Hang on.
All across the board.
Yep, all across the board.
I don't know. I live in Latin America, man. I live rough. I don't know what you're talking about.
Every day's rough there.
Yeah.
Yep. They got to raise their own chickens just to eat.
Yeah. And the chickens put up a fight.
And they put up a fight.
Yeah.
You shouldn't import them from America.
No. I'm an American chicken. Shut up, chicken.
I've got rights.
Rights.
I have a plan for the next or this whole year to just become a snow cone salesman in Canada.
That'll work.
Yeah. I see a future there.
That'll work out real well during the winter months.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. The market seems especially soft for high-grade slab books for recent vintage, which has been subject to a lot of pump and dump activity on the part of that sounds
Pump and dump.
Which you have to wonder what high-grade slabbed books are worth market value at this point anyway.
Right.
Is it some crazy new character, some big event? All of that stuff's not happening.
Welcome, Dave. Good to have you here.
At least not in a positive light where people want to collect it.
Headless is in the house. Gray Wolf has joined us now.
Headless.
Yep. Good to have you here. Henry has joined us. Welcome, Henry. It's good to have you here.
Good morning.
We're going to try to keep up as best we can with the chat as we get going. We don't want to miss any great comments that you guys add to the flavor.
Slabber just sealed polydags on steroids. Yeah. Yep.
Welcome, Past Master Dan.
Hey, what's up, Mr. Dan?
Past Master Dan.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I clicked at the same time. There we are. I was telling my wife the other day that this movement needs organization.
Yeah,
it does. We're going to try to work on that. We're going to try to make indie comics a little more organized this year.
Yeah, probably.
Well, at least in our circle, right?
That'll be for the better. Yeah, the thing is that you can't really force anyone to do anything, right?
At least where we can influence.
No,
but what you can do is present a more organized front.
Right.
And lead by example. So, yeah.
And look
The
pretty
comics
good.
business has defied the
Yeah.
principle of economics of scale for so long that one might be forgiven for believing it simply doesn't apply. As an industry, we appear to like having lots of smaller publishers, independently owned stores, and locally run conventions and events, and there has been barely enough money to keep them viable for decades. He doesn't really. Anyway, I guess that's up to your opinion. But in 24, I think we're going to start or to see the start of some roll-ups at various levels. The small to mid-sized players start to realize they are better off hanging together than hanging separately. Every publisher in the top 10, with the possible exceptions of the widely prosperous Viz Media and the single owner Dynamite Entertainment, seems like a possible candidate for merger and acquisition activity, especially ones where outside investors recently took a big stake or legacy owners are looking for the exits. There was word that Diamond that announced a mass purge of canceled books by the second and third tier publishers at the end of December.
Wow.
All sorts of stuff just ain't coming out. It also seems more likely than ever before that consolidation will hit the retail side. The efficiencies here are really compelling, especially as the distribution situation remains complicated. Large multi-stored retailers have more leverage in the market and can economize on costs with centralized payroll and administration. There are probably more stores and owners these days willing to sell for the right price or trade the hassles of ownership for greater stability.
Probably.
Assuredly. That's the ones that actually survived into January. And I was going to say we should all check the health of our local retailer and make sure they're
get out there and see how they're doing.
Yep. See how they're doing.
Printing costs are up. Printing costs are up. Shipping costs are up. Everybody, I mean, cost of living has gone up.
And the thing is
prices are going up. It's ridiculous.
It's not just a mild increase on the printing and the shipping either. It's a drastic jump. And I think there's a lot of people out there, even now, that have campaigns that aren't prepared for what they're going to see once they actually try to ship stuff or try to print stuff because of that, those jack up in rates. I think that the print on demand printers are really out to cripple themselves with the jack up in their rates. I think there's a lot of I won't say gouging. Gouging's kind of a strong word, but it's along those lines.
Look, their rent, their utilities have gone up.
Everything's gone up. Granted, yes.
Trying to buy food for their family's gone up. And in order to be able to do that, they've got to pass that cost on to their clients. And quite honestly, I get it. I don't blame them. Mm-hmm. But what it does, it hurts the whole industry.
They're going to see real quickly that a lot of these guys are printing books on shoestrings anyway, and there's still a lot of vanity printing going on out there. Folks that just want to throw a couple of hundred to their print-on-demand printer just to have some copies for the shows. I think you're going to see all that really get crippled because of these price hikes.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of those guys stop going to conventions too. Now, what I noticed last year is a lot of these conventions aren't comic book geared anymore.
No, and they're starting to cut their
manga. So
they're starting to cut their artist alley sections way down and limit it to specific, so many tables, and turn a lot of the secondary and mom and pop printers, individual hobbyists, I guess you would say, they're starting to turn them away.
I really appreciate Past Master Dan as a backer, a supporter of independent comic books.
We are.
He's been supporting people with dollars. Ethan put out this thing. Hey, show how many books you've supported as a fan, right? Mm-hmm. And which reminds me is one of the things we're gonna. You can access your backer history on My Comic, but I want to put up at the top the number of campaigns that you've supported. So I want to put that little tracker at the top. So we're going to add that in probably in the next couple months.
Yeah. Awesome.
But it people were showing this, and there's people out there that have got over 500 books that they've backed,
Wow.
and I'm like,
Good on
man,
them.
this is amazing. And so
Yeah.
we're grateful, but it trying to support these creators on their end,
Mhm.
we've got to be able to do a better way of doing it. Right. So we think, we had a meeting the other day at Arrow. We've been working on some stuff. We think we've got a couple of really good ideas, a couple of really winner plans that are going to work. We completely revitalized or reworked the business model for Iron Age distribution when we found out that we're not going to be able to do print on demand because of our printer issues, right? So
Yeah.
we've completely reworked that to support what we're working on here at Arrow, And so I think that we have a good answer. I'm not going to say we have the right answer. We have a good answer to this. We want to get it out there. We want to try it and see what happens first, before we start including other people. If it fails, let us fail internally first, but wait, I don't think it will. I think it will. It's going to be hard work all the way around.
Yeah,
But
anytime you expand or try to expand the market like this, it takes a certain amount of risk too. You have to try it and see how it goes. There are going to be failures. There are going to be different grades of success as well.
right, yeah, and you just got to figure out how can we make the things that were failures. How can you take those opportunities and make them win?
Yep.
And it's all part of running a business and a small business. It's nothing new here. I'm looking forward to it. Really, I am looking forward to those things. But I think in general, there needs to be more of a collaborative effort. I think, or a coalition. We mentioned this last week. I think there needs to be more of a coalition of people that will work together so that they can impact their section of the market. We need to alleviate some of the stress from the diehard backers like Dan, and some of these other ones that are out there that just love these books and are there to try to make them succeed. We need to find a balance between quality and quantity or speed, right? We've got to figure that out somehow. And, it's going to happen at varying degrees, I think. But I do agree we do need something going on there.
On to the article. Back to basics. 23 was a year that all the forecasts of the eventual end of peak geek media in Hollywood and streaming finally turned out to be correct. Take it from me, predict anything for a long enough time and it will eventually come true, because Hollywood producers are a cowardly and superstitious lot. This likely means options on superhero properties and adjacent genre material is going to cool down for a while longer. Bad news for publishers who came to the industry strictly to pilot test IP destined for other screens. IPs destined for other screens. But it's good news for those interested in making and selling and reading comics as comics. With fewer gimmicks and less stupid money floating around, the winners of 24 will need to rely on great stories, great art, and strong editorial to keep the trains running on time. People want these stories. They want great art by artists set free to develop their own voices and styles. If the big two can't or won't deliver, that just leaves more room for companies that can. And I
agree with him.
It amazes me that he writes this and just totally avoids crowdfunding completely.
Yeah, well, I think he can't mention it.
That's where, well, yeah, that could very likely be. That's where the true entrepreneurs are right now. That's where you're seeing we're being attacked. That's where we're seeing the cutting edge work.
Yeah.
It's just my fellow aliens. We're here.
It sounds like they came by, gave you a close.
And I'm, as a guy that owns a crowdfunding website, I'm here to tell you that I don't believe crowdfunding will be the only method to keep comic books successful.
Yeah,
I believe it's a method. I believe it's going to be a good method to do it, but it's not going to be the only method to do it. I think there's a pre-order model that needs to be in place. I think that there's again, that's why, we created the storefront idea where you can post your books and sell to an ongoing market year round, like all the time, have it available. And guys like Tim Tyler are having a lot of success with it, So, yeah.
As a side bet, it's likely that great work created through this organic creative, Postmaster, process, rather than manufactured to be collectible, will ultimately prove more valuable in the back issue market, especially books that start with small print runs. The impact of censorship will hurt library sales. Comics, as usual, found themselves in the crosshairs of the culture wars. But in 23, efforts to ban and censor controversial content were more systematic and more successful. The biggest targets are books aimed at middle grade and young adult readers, and this year expanded beyond perennial punching bags like genderqueer and torched to include Mouse, New Kid, and even graphic novel adaptations to classics like The Diary of Anne Frank and The Handmaid's Tale. That's because once you shine that spotlight on the bad ones, everything gets looked at. And then everybody comes out of the woodwork with any type of trigger that they possibly can in order. It all gets amplified all the way down.
It becomes tit for tat.
The way they could have stopped that is having an editorial board up there to begin with who was looking at these pieces, and that's at the publisher end, in order to label them correctly and to warn people of explicit content.
Look, so we've been promised the Epstein list, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why no one wants to, you have congressmen that are actively trying to suppress it. Why are they doing that? Because either them or someone that owns them is on the list, right?
On that list,
So if we know that the Me Too movement, that hashtag Me Too, if we know that pedophilia and human trafficking is going through our government and is going through Hollywood, why wouldn't we expect it to also be in some of these publishers?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't we expect that? And of course, editorial there, they want to groom kids because there's a whole movement right now to try to legalize this idea of pedophilia, that love knows no age kind of thing. They're including themselves into the alphabet. I mean, this is if people want to ignore that it's a real war. But what happens is when you say no to that, then the triggered people, the woke, the insanely nutty people out there decide that, well, we're going to take this away. We're going to go after this because, this made me feel bad about myself. Well, you know what? I read the Bible every day. And you know what? Every day it makes me feel bad about myself. And you know what I do about it? I don't get mad at the Bible. I get mad at me. Mm-hmm. And I let it work on me so that I can stop being a piece of shit. Right? One of my favorite clips of all time is this dude that's getting baptized. And the pastor is asking him, why are you getting baptized today? And normally, you're supposed to give some nice church answer. And he goes, because I used to be a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone laughs. But man, how honest of an answer is that?
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing this, because I was garbage and he's made me better, right? So that's what I do as a Christian. That's what most of my Christian brothers and sisters do. We look at it and we're like, wow, I need a lot of work. So let me get on this. Let me let this affect me. What happens when politics is your ideology and your religion, and your new gods are Biden and Schumer and Pelosi, right? When that becomes your religion, and that becomes your what is it? It's a Catholic
catechism
term.
or
catechism. There you go. Becomes your catechism, right? And that becomes that. So what happens is you can no longer allow free thought and thinking and stuff to make you a better person.
Mm-hmm.
You have to suppress everything that doesn't. And people going after genderqueer is not the same as people wanting to get rid of the Diary of Anne Frank. It's not the same thing.
Oddly enough, the people that are going after genderqueer, the majority of those people have read genderqueer.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of the people defending genderqueer have not read that book.
Right. Yeah.
That's the thing. And we should have a discussion some other time about that, because I got a copy.
Oh,
I've read
There
that
you go.
book.
It's rough.
I'm not reading that.
It's just
It's rough.
And you see, that's
What-
the problem. There's so many people
Yeah.
out there that throw up these walls that say, I'm not going to read this because of this and this, or I've heard this and this. You
Yeah.
actually need to go out there and look at it. In order to, you've got to know what you're talking about in order to be able to talk about what it is, right? At least I would think
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's why you don't see me talking about genderqueer. Like, you don't see me saying, like, I just say I'm not gonna touch it, but I'm not gonna say
I
I'm
got a
not
copy.
about it. I'm all
I've
about
read
it.
that. I've
Yeah.
read that book, and I would love to talk to. I'd love to talk to people about it.
Yeah, I will defer to your judgment on that, because through our experience, I trust
Because
your opinion. Yeah, but
what it really did when I read it was reinforce all of the opinions that I had about the book in the first place. Is that it needs to be
curated.
anyway, we can get into that at some other time. Let's not get off topic, because we only want a 3-hour show today.
You know what?
Yeah. Sure.
What really bothers me about just the couple, or this comment here, or this article here, is just the pure hypocrisy of it. Other than the obvious stuff that bothers me with throwing these people should be in wood chippers, but like, it's just this censorship thing. Like, it's laughable. It's like they go like the same people go after censor everybody else on the thing, and they have the gall to claim censorship after this stuff on like the worst possible material.
Scroll up on that article for a second, Luke, if you could.
Yeah.
Up a paragraph or two. This
You know
is
what
what
I'm saying,
gets
right?
me, is that he writes, though many of these efforts are legally dubious, we still have a First Amendment in this country, after all.
Yeah, exactly.
They are making a lot of schools and libraries think twice about whether it's worth the hassle to put these books on the shelves. It should be. Even if they eventually prevail over the would-be censors. And that's misguided perception there, because some of these books shouldn't.
Right.
And aren't going to get past there. And
They should
again,
be on a shelf. They should be on a shelf, but they shouldn't be on a shelf for children.
They're defending these perceptions because they haven't read the book. They need to go in and understand what they're trying to defend. And when they do, I would wager their opinion would change. At least sensible people would reconsider. There needs to be warning labels on these books. I'm not saying they should be censored and completely pulled off the shelves, and there should be mass book burnings, but there definitely needs to be an alteration and a change in how this is perceived. And all of these libraries and all of these publishers need to be a hell of a lot more cautious and get past the, like you were saying earlier, the grooming and the agenda driven presentations that a lot of these people are doing. There's a lot of misinformed opinions out there, and they really need to understand what they're talking about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Read it, though. They're just going to push the agenda, and
that's the problem. They're not. Yep, they're not.
And even if they do, and it's as gross as it is, even if they do read it, some of them will just be like, they won't care because it's still part of the agenda.
And sadly, their misunderstanding or lack of education on that is going to hurt a lot more people in the long run than it'll help.
Yeah.
Especially people that are mentally and emotionally confused. That's the real tragedy here. There's a lot of victims, a lot of innocent victims. They're trying to push this stuff off on kids, who don't know their sex, who might not, who definitely don't know, especially if their parents haven't been looking over them to give them the talk or to talk to them about being an adult or what sex is about or any of that. All they're learning is stuff in the schoolyard or stuff from these books. And that's a real tragedy there. And it's going to mess up a lot of kids.
Like, that's their goal. I mean, like,
I'm afraid you might be right. Yeah. But the leaning back on the First Amendment thing, that's a whole different, there's a fine line there that they cross that involves,
Right.
when you compare it to like yelling fire in a crowded theater, there's a lot of that line is crossed.
There's nuance, you know, there's
Yes.
there's clear nuance that is being ignored or overlooked for the sake of.
There's a huge difference between informing people and pushing pornography.
Yeah.
And obscene material. Yep. There is a difference.
Yep.
I think
as Headless says, it's pornographic material for kids.
Yep.
Welcome, Jolly Green. It's good to have you in the show today.
I think they're just trying to gaslight people with the article, like, because they know it's contentious about, like, it's just they come at you like sideways and through woodwork, and
it's kind of like a progressive knee-jerk backlash because the conservatives have a certain set of standards and ethics. Obviously, the progressives have to be against that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a basic sense of public decency that absolutely needs to be adhered to here.
Yep.
Especially when it comes to informing and exposing the youth to adult themes and adult material. There is a sense of responsibility that has to be done here. And the only thing that's kept, like if we use genderqueer as an example, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to read the book, is the only reason they have gotten away with it so far is they've gotten their obscenity court cases tossed on technicalities and not on the actual subject matter. And eventually the complaint is going to be written correctly by whoever brings it, and we'll see it really come to a decision. But to this point, it's only been tossed on technicalities. And that day, it's got to be coming, especially if they want to keep pushing that book out onto kids. Because there is definitely a problem there.
Yep.
Anyway.
So reason that life drawing is a
didn't want to get into it, but we got into it anyway.
Well, you know, here's the sad part. When you get into these things, 1 second. All right. So, when you start getting into these things and you start defending the children, you start doing those things, they stick you in groups. They're like, oh, well, you're a this.
Yeah.
No, it didn't used to be an extremist idea to defend kids against sexual content.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all changed. And as RJ says, it's perfectly okay to yell fire in a crowded theater when the theater is actually on fire.
Yep.
Like, this is actually a problem.
True.
And when they said years ago, it's a slippery slope, and everyone said, no, you're ridiculous. It's not a slip. Little did they know it was a slippery slope.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are today trying to defend against the idea that pedophilia should be legalized.
And promoted.
Dear God, what's going on with the world today? And the thing is, it's happening inside of our comic industry as well, right? So there's got to be some of us that stand the ground and say, no, we don't do that. This is our values.
Like I said, there has to be a level of publisher responsibility here where they recognize that that book was released in order to get the reaction that they got from it. And they knew it. Their marketing department's already been fired. Their president and vice president of that publisher has already been fired and replaced, but they still keep promoting the book.
Yeah.
And that in the same original form. In fact, the version I got was a deluxe edition that had notes in the end. And I'm really glad I got that, a hardcover, because it's got notes from the author, the creator of the property, about what they did when they created the work and the reaction to it. And that was really, again, we could take a whole show and talk about this.
And maybe we should.
It's very eye-opening. Yep.
Headlet says it's easy to identify pornography. You know it when you see it.
Well, see, that's the sad thing, because obscenity laws are left up to the individual municipalities. And that was on the assumption that there was a basic level of public decency out there that would be adhered to. which you don't see anymore.
And Rob just had to go there this morning with this article, didn't he?
Yeah.
Of
course he did.
Let's go and move forward a little bit.
Like I said, that's a whole
yeah
podcast in and of itself.
Yeah. The climate can't continue to get colder and colder without eventually causing a real chill. And that, of course, is the idea. The problem is these controversial works are getting published because they are what younger readers want to read. Really? Stories that reflect the reality of their lives and authentically represent the most diverse generation in American history.
I got something to say here. Can we just flood it again? Let's just flood it again. We're good. Throw the asteroid down.
And again, sit there and look at the numbers, and only Oni really knows the numbers of copies of Genderqueer that they've passed compared to, say, the biggest manga that Viz Media kicks out, and you'll see what the kids really want to read.
Yeah, they want to read. They want to read.
It's night and day.
Manga. That's what
they want to read. They want to read entertaining stories that they can lose themselves. They could lose themselves in.
Right.
And not instruction manuals.
If libraries and schools back off their commitment to acquiring these books and putting them on shelves and curricula, it will very quickly ripple back up the food chain to the large, consolidated, risk-averse publishers. Too much of the graphic literature of young readers is already cookie cutter and formulaic. If risk-taking creators get marginalized, it will end up hurting the medium creatively and commercially in the part of the market that has seen the largest growth in the past decade. This guy is full of crap.
No, well, it's a skewing of stats is what it is, and it's a bad and sad one. It's like propaganda, media manipulation. He's talking about figures, for example, that he's gotten from Scholastic, that some of their books like Dogman and Kid Club are actually aimed at younger readers and do a healthy service as far as entertainment goes to those younger readers. They know it, they love it, they buy it. Compared to some of the material out there that's personal, testimonials almost of adult situations that they were exposed to, and that has, quite frankly, seems to have damaged them, and they're passing, in my opinion, they're passing that damage on. And it's apples and oranges, literally, is what he's comparing. Apples and oranges here.
Really?
There needs to be more Viz. There needs to be more Cat Comic Club. There needs to be more Dogman out there, because that's really where the new readers are coming from and will be coming from.
Yeah.
We're allowed one F-bomb, right?
Yes.
You gotta use it? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I can't give you permission.
For that. Okay. You're allowed one. You're allowed one.
All right. Well, fuck this clown shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah. This guy, I'm telling you.
It's irritating.
Here's the thing. He'll say something I agree with.
Yeah.
Right. But then he spends it to be about pornography for kids.
And
that's
sadly,
not risk-taking.
It's a
risk-taking.
It's a misunderstood spin too. He is not properly informed.
I think he's more disingenuous. I think he's more disingenuous and uninformed.
Yeah,
right, yeah.
He's trying to basically he's trying to confuse creativity with pornography.
Well, he's trying to gain his woke points.
Yeah, dude.
You know, just in case things go the way he thinks it's going to go politically this year.
I hate him already.
Look, the news already came out. We already know that these voting machines are flawed. They came out. The mainstream media came out to say that they're easily hackable. The reason why they did it right before midterms, because they didn't want, they're like, well, if we lose, it's because the machines got hacked.
Yep.
They're already trying to build up the election's not real argument. When Trump did it, now they want to freaking indict that guy for saying it, and everybody else for saying it. But they say it every 4 years. They say it every 4 years that it was fake, unless they win. Then it was like, oh no, it was our election system perfect. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it gets so overwhelming. And what we want to do is we want to make comic books and we need to keep people to take risk. But when clowns like this start injecting politics into comics and saying, well, we need to be more risk taking when it comes to gender queer is not risk taking, it's grooming. Okay,
It's porn.
look, if you were an 11-year-old that was addicted to porn, you probably needed better parents. Just going to say that, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to be honest with you. Right?
All I'll
You gotta get
say
involved.
about that is absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? So if that's what you wanted to read when you were 11, it's not what I wanted to read when I was 11. It's not what my son wanted to read when he was 11. It's not what my daughter wants to read even now when she's 21. They want to read stories about family and about friends, and found family is like the biggest trope right now in stories that the younger generation loves. Gen Zers love the found family. You know, the people that become family that aren't biological, that's what they love. They love that. And you know what? So do I.
What are they? I think what they there's a
and yet
comment
the
here I was
MCU is going to mess up Fantastic Four.
They're
You
gonna
just
mess
know
it
they
up.
are.
They really
You
are.
know they're going to mess it up.
All right. So the 23 scorecard. Last year at this time, I figured 23 would bring us more and better user-generated content. Not really. Less and less successful comic-oriented content and other media. Yep. Better performance from bootstrap startups than from well-capitalized mid-market companies. Yes, but with the proviso that some of these startups ended up raising pretty good chunks of money, and the growing impact of AI still coming, but didn't hit quite as hard as I thought in 2023.
And again, a misinformed opinion.
Yeah, because AI has
it's hit a lot harder than what he realizes.
Well, the truth is,
he's not in the trenches. He's not talking to artists. He's not talking to writers. All he's got is his opinion out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Rob doesn't really report the news. He reports his opinion.
That's what it is. It's an opinion piece.
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
And it just so happens sometimes I agree with it. Most of the time I don't. It's always good for a hot take here on the old nerd bacon. It throws a little hot sauce and honey on it.
He started really well, though. But he screwed up.
Guys, I know you guys are wanting more Cthulhu content.
On a lighter note, here's some demon talk.
Yeah, I know you guys are because an end times demon is not what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah. Now on Pan-Dimensional News. Yeah.
On Pan-Dimensional News, Dark Horse Comics will add another volume of Gao Tanabe's adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's works to its catalog with The Call of Cthulhu, which it will publish in July of 2024. The story follows an investigator whose research into the cult of Cthulhu brings him to a horrific place where his sanity is threatened. The manga adaptation will be published as a 290-page paperback with 8 color pages and a tip-in title page, printed with silver ink. Dark Horse will release the book on July 31st of 2024 in bookstores on August 1st in comic shops with an MSRP of $19.99.
Well,
it's a manga.
It's the 4th of Gu Tanabe's adaptions to be released by Dark Horse. They recently announced a deluxe hardcover edition of At the Mountains of Madness.
Oh, nice.
Not easy books to adapt, by the way. If you've ever read Lovecraft, which I recommend everybody do, but those are not easy books to adapt. So good on them, and let's look forward to seeing some great stuff from them. Those are manga versions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Manga.
Dark Horse is
manga.
Dark Horse is just taking the jump right in there. They're just taking the jump right in there to manga, and that's something.
That's clever.
This guy, what's that? Grey Wolf says these idiots are going to wind up inciting another civil war before it's over. That's probably what they want. Probably.
You know what they
do seem to want to tear down society, don't they, Grey Wolf?
You know what they call that is scotastic terrorism or stochastic terrorism, I think is the term. It's the idea that like they're coming at people with these extremely contentious or ridiculous or even outright evil ideas, like the article we were talking about, like in their opinions and grooming and all that. to incite people to violence so that they will start a civil war or conflict.
Yep.
I think it's stochastic or something like that.
The World According to Greep. We've just wrapped up the biggest editorial project in ICV2's history, documenting and celebrating the 50th anniversary of the comics direct market, which involved the creation of over 100 articles, interviews, columns, photo galleries, and other pieces. While I was in the business through most of the period, I learned many new facts, heard a lot of great stories, reconnected with old friends, encountered a wide variety of perspectives on both the past and present, and generally found it to be a very rewarding project. It was great to get to work with a whole range of new writers and reporters, including Dan Guarino, whose book, The Comic Shop, is still the best history of the phenomenon. Heidi McDonald, whose conversation with Maggie Thompson brought together two comics journalists of different period. And Bob Wayne, who interviewed another giant of the direct market, Nick Landau, along with, of course, our regular team, led by contributing editor Bridget Alverson, columnist Rob, and writer extraordinaire and a man with his own role in the direct market history, Jim McLaughlin, whose article on the direct market jargonaut you never knew was the most read article in the series. A few takeaways. There are so many turning points where things could have turned out differently. One was pointed out to me by our contributing editor, Bridget Alverson, who bristled when she heard longtime DC executive Paul Levitz describe how the decision had been made to abandon comics for girls and pursue the young male market almost exclusively in the days of the direct market.
In the early days of the direct market.
In the early days of the direct market. Yeah, that was an absolute tragedy. It took the popularity of manga a couple of decades later to eventually demonstrate that comics, at least in book format, would sell to both male and female readers at scale and lead to an explosion of graphic novels for girls. That's questionable too, because we had Sandman and ElfQuest during that period as well that had very big female readerships.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, there wasn't enough. Warp Graphics started their own company, and we're running like,
it was my friend that introduced me to ElfQuest, a girl.
Yeah, they were running like 5 monthly titles there at one time, and the wife Monica was buying every one of them, loved them all. Where are we? In another turning point, Chuck Rosansky argued that DC's decision to implement a sliding discount scale for distributors helped lead to greater consolidation, which eventually produced the single distributor system, that lasted for 25 years. While there were a lot of factors that led to that direction, I agree that the consolidation of which Capital Distribution was a part reduced vitality in the business generally. That really came from a scare, in my opinion, of Marvel deciding to pick up Heroes World and distribute themselves. Everybody else, especially the guy who owns Diamond, whose name I am brain farting on right now. Jeppy ran around to all of these publishers telling them that the sky was falling and that they needed to get under his umbrella. And that's what made Diamond the monopoly. That and the collapse of Heroes World, that Marvel couldn't keep going.
And it did generally reduce vitality of the business.
Very much.
Would you guys say vitality? That sounds like a Viagra commercial. I don't know. Can we use another word?
No.
Okay.
Use
Viagra, guys. Yeah.
This is a limp syndrome.
Okay. And of course, the ultimate turning point at the origin, when a New York school teacher and his partner had the audacity to ask comic publishers if they could buy comics non-returnable to sell to comic stores. See, that demographics study that pushed the ideal that comics were mostly read by mostly white, mostly male, 25 to 55, had such a bad impact on the entire industry that it's ridiculous. And but even before that, though, when the Comic Code Authority was running and comics by, you had to pass stuff by the code, everybody was following everybody else's lead. And when Marvel kicked out Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and we're making big money at superheroes and past DC, because before that, Marvel was always looked at as a really small company, and then blew past DC in sales. Everybody chased after that tail.
Can I talk about the Comics Code Authority for just a moment?
And you saw Funny Animals dissipate. You saw all of these other romance comics dissipate during the 70s, and all of that Western comics, war comics slowly fade off to just superheroes.
Right.
Go ahead.
So I have mixed feelings about the Comics Code Authority, right?
Mm-hmm.
I understand that in order for them to keep comics viable as an form of entertainment for young people, which was the market they were going for long term, right? Because you've always got to have some comics that appeal to the younger readers, right? In order for them to be able to sell their books to that market, the Comics Code Authority was a response to people upset about the content that was going into comic books. Kind of like today, right? Like, look, you shouldn't show porn to kids.
Really,
right?
it was a two-edged sword. Is what it was. Because yes, on one hand, they did exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
And they regulated content down. They dumbed down comics basically to a younger readership.
They saved comics for one group, while at the same time stifled comics to the point where everyone started doing superhero comics because they couldn't figure out how to do romance, war, and westerns.
And again, that was over a long period of time, because there was 20, 30 years there where you had war comics, romance comics, and Western comics really going full bore all the way through the mid 70s. I would say back to the implosion, the DC implosion that happened in 76, 77. But the thing was that the other side of that sword of the Comic Code Authority, they were placating parents in front. That was the store window front explanation. But really in the back rooms, what they were doing is they were tossing Lev Gleason and EC comics off of the spiral racks by banning words like horror, terror, and crime off of the covers. They kept comics, like in the long run, they kept them dumbed down for kids. Right, but what they did is that they tossed these comics off the racks that were literally selling millions of copies to a readership that skewed much older than 8 to 12, 8 to 20 year olds. You go back and you read those. We're looking at Two-Fisted Tales now on Comics by Night, and it's really hardcore, mostly war dramas that weren't meant for kids to read by any stretch, but were beautifully done and very intelligently written.
Guys, we have a special guest.
Hey!
Do you draw the Flintstones naked? There's a market for that.
There's a market for that. Welcome, Ethan.
There we are, Ethan.
Hello. Wow.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Where'd that clip come from? I don't remember saying that. That's crazy.
You did.
That's kind of old, yeah.
Yeah, it's an old school clip, but we have it here for you.
Beautiful, beautiful. How are you guys? What's going on?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Yeah.
Doing great.
Thanks for joining us this morning. We're covering a bit of news, talking some comic book industry stuff, and then we've got a few questions. And I know your input is going to be very much appreciated this morning.
Yep.
With what we're talking about. Yeah. So our topic today is New Year's revelation, the hidden cost of business as usual. We're kind of looking. We look at some industry news. We look at some various articles from I think news outlets more geared towards our side of the aisle, if you will. Yeah. And we talk about where we're going, and we speculate what we're going to need to do in 2024 to improve ourselves, to be better.
Are we talking about like the Comicsgate, or are we talking about the mainstream? What are we talking?
We're talking about
direct market.
We talk about direct market, but mostly to apply to what we do. Okay. Kind of like, they screwed up. Let's not do that. Right.
Yeah.
Kind of situation, which is pretty simple, pretty simple to do in
It's
most
like
cases. Yeah.
watching the turd with a footprint on, like, let's not step on that too.
Yeah. So right now we're going over this article in ICV2. I think it's my last article for ICV2 this morning. No, I have another one. Let me see. The other one is going to be
Steve
Steve Root,
writes about the new
which we need
Nexus.
to. Yeah, we'll talk about that because Nexus is. There's also a new Nexus from Mike Barron. Mainstream doesn't talk about anything we do. They don't. They won't talk about Ethan making all the money he makes. They won't talk about. They won't even talk about Eric July making the money he makes. They certainly aren't talking about Fund My Comic and what that's doing. And this alternative market, they have no interest in whatsoever.
Well, because they literally have no interest in it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of our it's on us to make them have an interest in it. Now, at first I was queasy about this, and I was just kind of like, why won't they pay attention to Comicsgate? Why won't they pay attention to what we're doing over here? And the reason is because it just doesn't affect them. And I made the comparison that really, I think, drove it home to people, that it's like they're the NFL, and they're playing in the stadium, and we might be as good as them, but we're playing another game in the parking lot outside of the NFL stadium.
Right, yeah.
And they just don't care. Like, well, this guy ran for more yards than the NFL player did. So what? It doesn't mean anything to what they're doing in there. We got to bring our players in there, and I think that's
right. Yeah. Here's to the proper channels, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's inevitable. We do have to do it if we want that kind of attention, if that's what we're after. And I'm not sure if that's what I'm after, but I think some people, might.
I don't know that it's the over the course of the last several months, we've been reading articles from the mainstream. We look at ICV2 because that's the news source that all of them are involved with. I kind of call it like the mainstream circle jerk. Really
hate to use the word mainstream. Even it's
corporate comics,
corporate market.
But
like that better. Yeah.
That's what they're looking at. Corporate comics. That's what they look at, and they have been saying, can the industry, can the direct market be saved? They're all looking at ways to save the direct market, but they're ignoring crowdfunding. They're ignoring alternative markets. They're going directly to the fans. They don't even want to talk about Mark Miller and the things that he said, right? And
which because he became an enemy number one
really quick,
being like the greatest. Yeah,
because he told Ethan he said, "Cheers, bud."
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. 2 words,
Ethan.
Well, I mean, I think I represent something really scary to them, but understand that they're differing interests here. Everybody has a different interest. It's like, Mark Miller is speaking on behalf of, retailers and their interests. And meanwhile, there's a whole other set of interests, which is the comic book publishers and the creators. And, it's important to just understand, they're not, the reason why the direct market is faltering right now is because brick and mortar is dying. People don't want to leave the house anymore. It's not, COVID may have exacerbated this a little bit, but it's just human evolution that it's like, we will go with whatever will make things easier for us so that we have to expend less energy. If we can have comic books delivered to the house somehow, that's what we're going to want to do. If we can not even have them instantaneously delivered some way. Digital has its place, certainly. Webtoons are doing fine. That's where the future will be. So you're seeing mom and pop stores close down for that reason. Walmart is huge. Target is huge because people don't have to go to a bunch of little stores. They can go to one big store. And as you begin to kind of combine all of those ideas of just people becoming more lazy, America becoming fatter. I mean, certainly me,
right,
and wanting to just stay in one place. Yeah, the direct market is going to slowly kind of close down. The comic shops are going to begin to close for that reason alone, and it doesn't help that the comics aren't good either. I mean,
but Ethan, there's a point I want to put in your plate to see what you think. I don't live in America. I live in Panama, Central America, and we don't have comic book shops here. But I'm still not buying Marvel or DC. It's just I have no interest in it, and all the people who like comics down here are not buying Marvel or DC. They're buying manga or they're buying indie.
Yeah.
So The reason, I mean, my point is the product itself, it's not lending itself to be viable, and they don't want to face that.
Yeah, right. I understand. Like, you're no longer. See, what I'm saying is you're no longer their customer. See, your interests are. I'm taking my business elsewhere.
Yeah,
But I mean, even people who are their customers still would prefer to find like another way to receive those comics than go
gotcha.
to the brick and mortar store. We're just talking about like how why the direct market is kind of closing down a little bit. And Marvel and DC can feel that too. The direct market initially was just to brick and mortar comic book stores. Now they've got Penguin Random House. They're shipping to where they think people are going to buy comics. They're shipping to
Right.
Barnes and Noble now, Target, where they see like that manga is doing so well. We're trying to be where they are, but it just feels kind of too little, too late. Like
Yeah, we've been predicting here on this show for a while that the direct market, especially in 2024, is likely to go away. If not entirely, at least it's going to trim back a lot, and you're going to see a lot of that fail. Now, I like this idea of like the direct to door. Do you think fans, because as you said, we the readers have not been the customer for a long time. It's been the retail stores. They've been trying to sell copies to them, and then the retailer has been left with trying to sell these kind of garbage books to us, which we
Right.
have said no to in spades, right? And or do you think that maybe a kind of like a subscription, like magazine monthly, getting your book sent to you, kind of plan is what might be the future for independent comic books or comic books in general? Is that
It's
what you're
going to be
saying?
a myriad of different ways to receive comics. It's not just going to be one way. I mean, subscriptions might be neat. I was thinking about that, like, how cool would it be to have like a monthly, Cyber Frog related comic, that somebody could subscribe to that would get shipped to your door. There are a lot
Mhm.
of reasons why that would be hard to do for just a mom and pop like
Right.
All
Yeah.
Caps Comics. It's already, it's a lot. It's a lot of work to do fulfillment. But yeah, like a lot of different methods of getting comics for people, for the diminishing niche audience that still wants American comics in some way. It's going to spread out a little bit, and that's why you're going to see that contraction with retailers. It's
Mm.
tough. It's too bad.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of creative ideas that pop out of this.
Yeah,
I think the
Yeah.
truly creative individuals, the hard workers, and the ones dedicated to this kind of art form, are going to be the ones that's going to stick around. I think you're going to see a lot of smaller creators that thought, this might be my way into the Netflix deal. We just read a little bit ago that because of the waning success of comic book properties on all of the streaming platforms and movies and in the box office, that movie options or series options are going to be a lot less.
Ryan up.
They're going to be a little more restricted than before, and that you're likely just going to get people that are making comic books because they want to make comic books for people to read. They really are a lover of the medium, and I think that might be an accurate prediction moving forward.
Comic book black belt says, surely we don't want to be part of their world. Aren't we really interested in a parallel economy and our own IPs? I love Spider-Man and Batman, etc., but they're so jaded now.
I almost don't want to touch those properties.
Dr. Mask says, I want them delivered in brown paper wrappers and folded in the middle. Good old
I
days.
just want my
Good old days.
comics. I want my comics to be read. I
we
don't
are.
think there's a, going back to what Randy Zim said, like, I don't want to assign corporate comics the title of mainstream comics. Cyberfrog, Rainbow the Brute, Girthy Stallions, Fearsome, these are all mainstream properties that we put out that just don't have access to, the mainstream audience, which is still, bookstores and comic book shops. So I don't know. Do we want to participate in that? Yeah, I think we have to. If we want, we can't simultaneously stand by and say, why aren't they paying attention to us while also not making our books available where those people who are writing about comics get their comics.
Right.
We it's like one or the other. Like I'm perfectly content, I think, or at least I was. I'm not really sure right now. Perfectly content to just sell comics to my audience and get feedback from my audience on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're gonna grow, if this means trying to reach more people to truly see if we are going to compete with Marvel and DC, we have to be where they are. Sales numbers aren't enough. We have to be selling alongside, right next to, Spider-Man and Spawn. We have to make comic book collectors and fans take the Pepsi challenge every week. Like, we're right there. Are they going to choose us, or are they going to choose Venom, or something like that? Something good that Marvel is putting out. I think we kind of have to do that if that's the sort of feedback that we want.
So maybe it's a little bit of both. We got to play along. So we got to find a way to play along, but at the same time, we got to find a way to kind of set ourselves apart.
Well, crowdfunding does set us apart.
It certainly does. It certainly does. I know one of the things, you mentioned everybody kind of wants the ease of use, like go to the, whatever makes life easier for me. That's what we try to do with the Fund My Comic idea with the storefront. We're seeing a lot of people have a lot of success with that right now, with going on there and just creating storefronts and setting those up, and so that they can just sell kind of long term, because people want to go to a place where they can shop, and I think that's, we've got different websites where they can go and do that. I know CG Now is one of those places you can go and kind of shop what's available. Still takes you to different places, and different platforms that you have to go to. I love the idea of people crowdfunding from their own websites. That's, I think a beautiful idea. I know not a lot of people have that ability. That's why we built the platform that we did. But one of the things that the kind of a sub reason, like one of the other things that stacked up for us to go ahead and do it, was that people were like, well, I don't want to have to go to all these different websites to be able to back books. I want to be able to do them all in one spot. And that made sense. And we were doing that with Indiegogo, but I don't like giving them that much money.
Well, I mean, eventually Fund My Comic could be that place, that hub, The reason why I'm still on Indiegogo, and I'll always be on Indiegogo as long as I'm allowed on Indiegogo, is because there are a lot of smaller creators, who like you said, they can't make their own platforms and still want their best shot. They want the biggest audience. I think pulling away from Indiegogo and going completely independent, where you have to come to my website to buy Cyberfrog, takes what might be some eyes off of their properties too, off of their campaigns. So I think I need to be there. I think some of the bigger guys need to stick around with Indiegogo and Kickstarter as much as they can. Fund My Comic, all the new sites, all the classic sites that everybody's working with, rather than to just do their own website. If this is about, I mean, I still see this as a group effort. I don't, I still see this as, a rising tide, and I still see a tugboat pulling, a lot of other little guys along with them. I think that's got to be the way that it goes for now, until everybody has the ability to be self-sufficient as creators.
No.
The good creators get weeded out from the guys who aren't so good, and maybe you're hobbyists, amateurs. But people who can make good comics need to be allowed and permitted, funded. That's important. We need to make that happen.
Yeah. Now, I would like to commend you, okay, on two things. Well, three things maybe. First, I tweeted that Red Planet was late, like crazy late, right? But I backed one book. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much it was. Maybe, I think the book was like, what, $25, $30? And then shipping or whatever. I can't remember.
$25, $10 shipping.
Yeah, so $35. I got a box with 3 other books, more than what I had ordered, and an action figure.
Right.
A bunch of cards, a sticker.
And all of it was at the highest quality.
Great. Yep.
Like all of it was at the highest quality, that more than I could expect.
Yeah.
Right.
And that
That was a hell of a package.
It made me forget about the late. It did. I was like,
Yep.
Screw the late. I mean, this is great. I'll wait however long it takes to get this. I backed a book. $35 was my investment. Other creators may charge $35 for their book. It may show up tomorrow, but I'm getting a book, right? I'm getting a book, and it may not even be the highest quality. Not, it happens. But so I wanted to ask from that there, what is the process that you were like, what made Ethan think I'm just going to give him the whole kitchen sink with this thing? And that process of putting all that together do you have a team that helps you? Because that was quite impressive.
No. Well, I mean, I have creators who help. Heartsick Horror had Kanan White and EJ Morges. Kyle Ritter is my colorist. Eric Weathers is my letterer. I mean, the thing about crowdfunding is that, $25 is an awful lot to ask for a 48-page comic. It's not a competitive price with the rest of the industry. The rest of the industry, people will quickly point out that, something like what we do would be about $14.99. Coming from Marvel or DC, and we're asking $25, and that's a lot. But the reason for that is that our print runs we're planning on our print runs being so much smaller than Marvel and DC. And they'll print 40,000 copies of something where, if we're lucky, we'll print 5,000, like a really good campaign, really good print run, 5,000 copies. So we need more money to be able to make better looking product at a smaller print run. The more copies you print, the less each copy costs. And on top of that, like, crowdfunding actually pays the bills for artists to actually make the books. I'm a professional. I worked at Marvel and DC, and I'd get a page rate. So I have to be paid. I have to pay the bills and keep the lights on and all these things. That's what crowdfunding actually is. Now, I start out like offering just what I'm offering. I'm saying for $25 you'll get Wreck Planet, and here's a little bonus book as well that you could add on. And then as time goes on and people become more interested in it and more people fund it, it becomes crazy. Cyberfrog 2 made $1.45 million. It made a lot of money. So
it's a lot of money.
Right. So now that $25, the print run is going to be bigger. That $25 can buy more things. I don't need all that money. I appreciate it, but really, what I want to do is be able to make product with the money. I'll make a lot more money selling whatever extras I print of Wreck Planet later on down the road. That's where Andrea and I really make our money. So why not make more things? You have to give back. Crowdfunding offers this thing called stretch goals. Where you just go, look, this is crazy. If we get to 600,000, I'm going to be adding in this special thing that everybody gets for free. It's a wonderful thing that encourages more funding, and it makes everybody's package together, the perks that they get, more elaborate, more exciting, more stuff, more quality. That's something that only crowdfunding offers. And again, it's too much. $25 is too much for a book. There should be, but it's understandable. If somebody only raises like $10,000, $20,000, it's understandable. They need the $25. But when you're up in the millions, I don't need the $25 just to make a single book. It starts to cost less and less. One of my Chromium comics might cost $6 to $8 to make, a Chromium Cyberfrog comic. That's a lot of profit. So I can spend a little bit more of that money to make your package more exciting, more elaborate, which is what I chose to do. We decided to go and do something that nobody else was doing at the time. We decided to manufacture actual toys, little free Cyberfrog PVC toys that started out. I was just thinking, like, this will be like something you get out of a 25-cent gumball machine. It'll be like just a little fun little trinket. And then it became bigger, more elaborate, a lot of paint steps in an original box package. All of these things cost money. All of these things were kind of daring. All of these things were new to crowdfunding. But we made it happen. Wreck Planet was huge. And while I was going, I just said, I need the story to be epic. I need it to be, I need it to be what it's supposed to be. I think people were put off by the brevity, the sudden like short kind of cut off of Blood Honey. I want this to have
Yes.
a beginning, and I need it to end where it needs to end. A nice cliffhanger, but it needs to end at this certain point. And I just let myself draw 72 pages instead of 48. And a page for me takes a long time to draw, and write it. Many, many, many drafts. Write, rewrite, go send it back to Eric Weathers. Fix this. That line of dialogue feels clunky. I need to connect this. I need to add this. Asking Kyle to do color corrections until it was perfect, and showing it to various people whose opinions I trusted. Give me feedback. What do you think? Wreck Planet is, I think, the best comic book that I've ever done in my life, and that includes working with Grant Morrison, Jeff Johns. I think it's better than all of that. I think it really is a superior comic book, and it's for all of those reasons. It's because of crowdfunding. It's because of the support that I received from everybody. It's because I was permitted to work on it until it was what it was. And I think that the end result speaks for itself. It being late was an awful thing. I cost my family probably $1 million. I think about that all the time. I got to live with that. It sucks, but it's art. It's my art.
I will say it's a very beautifully drawn book. What I was really impressed by is the work that you put into the writing. Like, you can tell, like, the writing improved from the first book to the second considerably. So, I mean, but that you also started making action figures during this time. A lot of other things going on.
Apparel, all sorts.
Yeah, apparel. But I've noticed that you are putting new titles together with different artists. Now, are you planning on expanding this Cyberfrog universe? Now, we've got Eric July coming on in 3 weeks. So he's going to come on. I'm going to ask him a series of questions about kind of what his thoughts on the industry are and his kind of where he's taking his thing, right? Because obviously, well, I mean, if you've been under a rock, then you don't know, but there's been some back and forth on the old X between you guys lately. And I don't like to be involved with that stuff. I'm too busy. I'm drawing full time here too, but I'm not producing at the level that you are, the art quality that you're doing. So I produce a lot quicker. I'm doing 10 pages a week, and but they're low detail. They're and they're not perfect. They're as good as I can make them, but as I get better, but they're serviceable. It's serviceable art, right? And even I can see issues and shortcomings in some of these books that I'm like, yeah, man, they should have taken a couple more minutes to. I mean, it would have taken that much more time to make that better. Like, it didn't have to be perfect, but they could have made it better, right? Perspective issues, things like that. And so there's kind of this divide between quality and speed. And I want to kind of look at that. Are you thinking of building a universe like what Rippaverse is trying to be? And to what degree will you balance the quality versus quantity kind of argument?
I'm not sure what kind of universe Rippaverse is trying to build or be. Cyberfrog Cyberfrog has a universe already built into it. And there are already characters that people have kind of come to know and like a lot. I mean, I didn't know Heather Swain was going to be as popular as she was. I didn't know, well, I kind of suspected Salamandroid was going to be kind of popular.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
So I mean, you put a book out there and you wait. You don't have to do it right away. We don't make a plan right away for this. The story all exists in my head from 1990, actually all the way back to 1986, where the Vespas first start contacting human beings, all the way to 2018, where we are now in the story. All of that stuff exists. There is a timeline. There's a storyline about their plan to come here, how they slowly changed humans and made them susceptible to be conquered, how Heather Swain got involved, why she's important, who Deathfly is, how Anne O'Malley fits into her life. So there's this whole thing, like before Cyberfrog even came, Blood Honey shows very subtly that Heather tried to kill herself. She tried to take her own life, and Cyberfrog saved her, and that's how they started to become friends. So what brought Heather Swain, who was like a virtuoso, like pianist, a bright, happy kid who lived with her mom and her dad and affluent Cherry Hill, New Jersey. What drove her to the point where she was contemplating taking her own life, and that happened within 3 years, from 1993 to 1996. Like, what the fuck happened? And you get pieces of it. I've written pieces of it in her dialogue, like, her father died overseas, and then she had an awful stepfather who was abusive. All these things. There's a whole story there that should be told. Why would Heather Swain be receptive to hanging out with Cyberfrog? That's kind of weird. But she was prepared for it by a bunch of different factors. She was prepared for his arrival. He was just the kind of friend that she needed at that moment because of all of these other factors. So we've got this whole story from 1993 to 1996. Heather Swain, young Heather Swain, and watching the world change, watching the world be prepared for a large alien invasion when aliens first started to arrive in 1994 on Earth. So that's a story that needs to be told. It's not like I need a Heather Swain book. I have a story that needs to come out. And I can't do it myself because I'm telling the epic Cyberfrog 2018 story. So, all right, so I've got this story. And then what happens is an A-list artist makes themselves available to me. And that's when you pull the trigger. You don't sit there and go, well, I just need to put more product out on the market. It's about product being available. No. A bunch of different things. Do I have a story? Yes. Do I have an A-list artist who's willing to do it? Yes. So it's time. And is there a demand for the character? It's Heather Swain. Fuck yes, there's a demand for the character. So we do that. Dale Keown's available. He wants Salamandroid. In Dale's case, I'll fucking write a story. I'll come up with a Salamandroid story for Dale Keown.
He's going to do a great job on that, by the way. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So great. I mean, these are reasons to make comic books and to tell stories. And the idea of me still needing to take my time. I don't think I'm going to need 3 years for this. To be honest with you, it's going to be 48 pages. It's going to be a lot quicker. I need to finish Rainbow the Brute. I need to finish Girthy Stallions. These are quickie books. But
Girthy Stallions, that was my nickname in college.
The whole book is like a dick joke. It's great. Come take it. It's going to say, come ride my Girthy Stallion across the top, But anyway, yeah, like there need to be more books out there. So that is an acknowledgement. Like, people do want to be reading Cyberfrog while they're waiting for Cyberfrog. Yeah. So we're gonna do that because it's just the right thing to do right now. We've got a whole other book called Lynx, which EJ Morges is going to be drawing, I believe. I got to see. Like, every time I talk to EJ is the most artisty artist in the world. Like, he feels pain, like artistic pain. It's like I have to prop him up and encourage him. So there's that, and then there's Fearsome, which was the book that I was going to do with David Finch and Steve McNiven back in 2008. We were shopping ourselves around as like a kind of a group, almost like a union. We were trying to unionize ourselves and say, we want a package deal where we're all getting this super big page rate and we'll come work for your company. I had a book called Fearsome. I wasn't ready to do it, but then David Williams made himself available. It's time to do it. It's time to do Fearsome. So I think in 2024, we're going to be looking at smaller campaigns. I don't foresee $1 million campaign for Fearsome or Young Heather Swain. I like the idea of putting out a floppy books, like 22, 32 page books, 2 per campaign, Heather Swain 1 and Heather Swain issue 2 on one campaign, and then putting them out maybe 2 of those campaigns a year. So you're going to get 4 of those books a year, 4 issues of Fearsome in a year.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
It just seems like it might work. And if it doesn't work, who knows? Like, we just, we move around, we try things. if one of the books isn't well received, we'll cancel it. We won't do it again.
But I think that goes to the whole idea of, when you're indie, you not only can you, but you have to kind of be able to you have to be agile in your choices and your business choice, all those kind of things. You have to try things, and some of the things you try are going to work. Some things are not going to work. It's like the Mythbusters always said, failure is always an option, and it's okay. I think people are so afraid of failure, that they don't try things.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that you're, I think, obviously more work from you is not going to, I think more independent comics is not going to hurt, and is not a bad thing. Mad Bruce says this. He says, thanks for bringing attention to indie comics and helping so many new creators get eyes on their books, Ethan. That's the second thing I want to commend you about.
Oh, yeah.
You have been, not as much as in earlier years with Comicsgate. But you were very, and still are very active in helping smaller creators, younger creators, get their work out there and getting eyes on
Be
them
seen.
and what they're, help them be seen. I've been the recipient of that. I know Matt Ruth has been the recipient of that. And many people are grateful for that, to be honest with you. But I do know that there's people out there that they have this kind of sense of entitlement. And, you bring them into the circle, you help them out, and then they turn on you. They backstab, right? So it becomes one of those things where, it happens to me, and I'm a nobody. I'm small fries, right? And so I start to tighten up my circle, and I start to, not be as charitable with my platform, and even the small crowd that I have. But you have maintained this this attitude of rising the tide, if you will, and bringing ships along in your wake, if you will, kind of thing. Can you speak to that a little bit? Like what drives you to want to do that and not just turtle in your group of ex-pros?
Well, first of all, my fans have been very, very, very nice to me. My backers have been extremely generous. They've allowed me to do this. When I got canceled, I was outraged. I still am mad about it. I still go through. I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, I'm full of anger all the time, and that's never going to go away. I smile and I laugh and all that stuff, but I'm still pissed. It's like that sucked. So I thought, what I could definitely do is I found out really quickly is just do Cyberfrog and crowdfund myself. But I think that there's something in me that wants to take what happened to me and make more of an issue of it and make something better come from it. So in other words, like I can't be the only one who kind of rises up from that. Like I want to rise up and get like I was literally knocked down, right? Not figuratively knocked down, and then got back up to my feet again. But when I got back up, I felt like I should bring more people with me because I was aware I was in a community on Facebook that was just conservatives who had been blacklisted from comics. And, we just talked and everybody was scared all the time and people couldn't get work. And I just thought, boy, if I could, if crowdfunding works, I could make it so that these guys who used to be able to make a living in comics could make a living in comics again independently, do it by themselves. And they'd need my help at first, but eventually they'd be able to kind of sprout wings and do their own thing and maybe bring other people along. So imagine if it started with me and I brought along 5 or 6 people and I made them able to stand on their own 2 feet and they kind of developed their own followings and then they did it for 4 or 5 more people and soon cancel culture wouldn't be a thing. There would be no such thing as a blacklist. Anybody who was able to make comics and attract a fan following and sell their comics would be able to. And I just thought that was great. I used to have these visions of one day I'd have a big company and a company picnic where I'd see the result of this. The pain that I was going through in 2017 and 2018 resulted in this nice fantasy picnic where families were hanging out with us and I could tell that There was prosperity, and it was because I got canceled. And that was like the goal that I had way back when. And it hasn't been as smooth as that, Luke. It hasn't quite gone that way.
Yeah, I haven't seen the picnic yet.
I learned a little bit about human nature, like where it's not as simple as people going, "Thank you so much for the little bit of help that you gave me. I really appreciate you. You're really wonderful." It's not like that. You know, it's like people are angry and resentful over being helped, and it's
people are a pain in the ass.
And unfortunately, it only takes one or two people like that to spoil it for everybody, and to put a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, I kind of like there were times like where you would see me say things like, "I quit. I can't do it anymore. Fuck this. I'm done." You know, these people. But I have, that's just me taking a breath, taking a break, and then I kind of recommit myself. Yeah, like it's never going to be easy. People are going to disappoint you. I kind of just it happened again like last year, where a dude that I found in the Indies like just kind of completely turned on me for no reason, and people just tell each other these like there must be an ulterior motive for why he's helping us. It must be that he wants to control us and he's evil.
We must kiss the ring.
Kiss the ring. It's like, shit, I'm trying to help you.
Dude, you've never asked me to kiss the ring. In fact, I messaged you this morning to say, I'd love to have you on sometime to talk. And you're like, yeah, sure. Send me the link.
Yeah, I'm not the kind of guy that you put on a calendar, by the way. I can't. Yeah, I'm the worst about that. Just like throw me a link and I'll pop on.
It's like Kelsey. It took like weeks to finally get him up at 9 o'clock in the morning. To be here. Our show, we kind of read the news, and we're the background noise for a lot of people while they're working. You know, they're listening while they're, they work and lurk kind of thing.
That's great.
And so we love doing this on Thursday. This is our 98th episode. In 2 weeks, we'll be celebrating our 100th and giving away some stuff. I'm actually giving away an extra Cyber Frog action figure that I have.
That's nice.
I liked it so much, I bought an extra, and I'm like, I'll just give it away. And then I'll just have to buy another one.
Thank you.
I like them. I like them. You're doing a great job with that stuff, right? Now I do want to, so there's been I've heard some criticism out there that, well, let me ask a different question first. In this, this helping other people, there are a couple of different things that we see kind of in the culture of indie comics right now, where some want to build an alternative market or a parallel market, but they want to do it with as many independent people as they can, helping small press and independent publishers along the way to do that. And then there's others that just kind of want to be that themselves. They don't really want to bring anyone else along with them. They kind of want to be the ruler of all of that, right? And sometimes things get projected upon people, right? Without trying to get dramatic.
You're trying hard not to say anything, but
really am. I really am. But you know what I'm getting at, right? So what makes it to where you are, because you have the resources, you have the influence, you could easily just create an alternative market all by yourself. What makes you so adamant about bringing this CG movement along with you?
Because we're, to borrow from Hillary Clinton, we're stronger together. It can't just it can't just be me. It can't just be me by myself. I don't, if we're actually really trying our hardest, and what I think we need to be doing is putting it's become more clear to me. We need to be putting ourselves where we can change and affect the culture. And there's not a single bullet that's going to do that. We need a machine gun of good ideas and concepts. And that it can't just be me. I can't, it might be Cyberfrog. Maybe Cyberfrog's really good. Maybe that's going to be the thing, but maybe not. It's got to be, we got to give as many people as possible the chance to be seen, to get their books done, to get funded, to make art. We've got to do that. Or else there's no point to it. We can't just put all our eggs in one basket. So bringing people along, promoting people, giving people more visibility is how things get done. It again. Grant Morrison brought Mark Miller along. Mark Miller was a nobody. Grant Morrison decided that, I've seen his writing, maybe I could kind of give him more visibility and put him in a place where he might be, seen. And he got him jobs at DC and Marvel. And now Mark Miller is Mark Miller. But if it wasn't for Grant Morrison, there's no guarantee that his voice would ever be heard. We do need to do. There's no reason for it. There's no benefit. In fact, I'm sure it actually hurt Grant Morrison. Some jobs were lost to Grant Morrison by doing that. That's okay. There's no benefit to it. It's not necessarily going to help us financially. It shouldn't help us financially. But what exactly is our goal? If our goal is, if our problem is that the culture's been corrupted by leftists or by ideology or just by bad comics, then we need to be doing something to make a change in that. We need to try to fix that somehow. And that involves making great comics, as many as we can, and putting them where people can see them so that maybe there'll be a video game, maybe there'll be a cartoon, maybe a movie, maybe an action figure line in Target and Walmart, whatever it is. We need to change the culture in that way. That needs to be our job.
What I ascertained from your comments is that you want the animation, the TV shows, and all those things, but you think that it's other people that can rise up to do that. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Everybody can do it.
Okay.
I don't know who it's going to be. I'm not sure, but I mean, it could be lots of people. But I just think that my goals, my hopes and dreams go beyond myself. It's not just boy. I hope I'm the guy who I do hope I want to be the guy. But even if
everybody wants to be the guy.
Of course,
everybody does. Yeah.
If you don't want to be the guy, you shouldn't be here.
I don't want to be the guy.
Oh, you don't want to.
You don't want to be the guy.
I don't want to be the guy. That's the first one to get shot, man.
Well, you don't need to
get shot.
Let's all be the guy.
Yeah, you don't need that. Well, I just mean we just need somebody out there that comes up with the idea that that is incorruptible. That the problem is that these concepts, these IPs, last a generation or two before they're picked up by a big corporation and perverted. Yeah. So what's out there right now that hasn't been picked up and perverted at this point? That's coming from American creators or Canadian creators from the West? Not a lot.
No. Speaking of which, you get a lot of criticism. You get a lot of criticism for some of the things you say about women in comics, right? I think most of your harshest critics love to call you a misogynist. You often joke about being a narcissist.
Yeah, but they're all stupid bitches. So.
Yeah, that gets in the way.
I'm sorry, that was awful, but that.
Yeah. But I can see that getting in the way of judgment.
I get your humor, right? So I get your humor. So I get where you're coming from. Right. But there are so many people out in the internet age these days that are terminally online that have no, they just can't, they don't get the joke. And I see you, like I see it, and like you're laughing the whole way. Like clearly nobody else gets the joke. But I'm sure you've heard of these comments. So you've been on Star Wars for a while. And this was you could see my background. I love Star Wars. It's been one of my favorite franchises since I was a kid. I'm named after Luke Skywalker. My mom and dad's first date was to a New Hope, right?
Oh,
so yeah,
I never knew that.
Why I'm called Luke. Yeah. So my name
I thought you were named after the apostle.
No, my name is Thomas Luther. My mom only agreed to name me Luther after my grandfather, if we could call me Luke, because she loved that name. Their first date was to Star Wars. So my whole life has been around Star Wars, even my name, right?
Oh, cool.
And so what they've done to this franchise is, I think, just indicative of what we're seeing at Marvel, DC, and these franchises that you're talking about. Is there anything there worth saving anymore? And even if you did, last week I speculated that the only way to fix corporate comics is to see the whole thing crumble, to build back up from the rubble. Yeah. Burn it to ashes, build it back up. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's speculation. but I'm sure you've heard about this. These comments from Charmaine Obaid Shinoy. I'm probably saying that wrong.
Shinoy.
But this is an article on Fandom Pulse. John Delarose actually started this website, and it's a nice alternative. We've got a few out there. Bleeding Fool is another good alternative. Bounding into Comics sometimes will give us something worthwhile.
Good articles, yeah.
Some good articles there. But we kind of have to have an alternative because all the news seems to be filtered. And it's all opinions these days, I think. But everybody else is giving their yes queening this new director. It's almost laughable to read this, but she said about her directorial role in the upcoming Rey Solo Star Wars film have sparked criticism within the Star Wars community. A little bit, I guess. In a CNN interview, Obaid Shinoy boldly claimed, "I think it's about time we had a woman come forward to shape the story in a galaxy far, far away." However, these statements have been met with skepticism and critical examination of their accuracy. These sentiments show Disney aims to continue their trend of the Force is female under Kathleen Kennedy.
Shouldn't Kathleen Kennedy come by this lady and suitless her? Because who's in charge of Star Wars? Isn't Kathleen Kennedy? Isn't she like a woman, allegedly?
She's not the first one to direct a Star Wars film either. There have been episodes that have been directed by women on Disney Plus.
Yep. But we're kind of seeing this trend. They put a chick in it, make it gay, make it lame. And Disney was kind of the first one to do that. It seems like they're doubling down on that. And as the parent company to Marvel, do you think we're going to see any improvement in corporate comics at all, Ethan?
No, I mean, no. They can't be. No, Star Wars isn't dead. It's just that it no longer belongs to George Lucas, and it doesn't belong to George Lucas under the right circumstances in which he's being heavily criticized and guided by creative people who are a little bit more structured and good advisors. I mean, that's basically how the first trilogy came to be. George Lucas's concepts, guided by people who didn't think he was the bee's knees. They just, this is okay. Let's fix it so that it's a good story. The prequel trilogy was George Lucas, people kissing his ass, nobody telling him no, nobody telling him he was stupid. And that's why the prequel trilogy is about 75% silliness. And then the sequel trilogy is just, owned by a corrupt parent company who's puppeteering this corpse. So can there be good Star Wars stories again? Yes, there was one. Rogue One was pretty good.
Yeah.
And the first season of The Mandalorian was good too.
Yeah, the first season of Mandalorian was good too. Second season was pretty good too. So there can be good Star Wars stories again, but it's not. You can't look to that and say, that it's ever going to... Look, will there ever be a good Frank Sinatra song again? I don't know. If you make a Frank Sinatra song, it would be by AI, right? Frank Sinatra's dead. He can't make any more music. He's not... It could be that AI comes to the point where it can make an artificial Frank Sinatra song that's pretty good, but probably not. Most of it's going to be artificial trash, right? It's the same thing with everything that Marvel's doing. Stan Lee's gone. The spirit, the soul, the heart and soul of Marvel Comics is dead. Does that mean there will be no more good Marvel Comics? No, there'll be a few. But ultimately, it's a parent company pulling the strings and making these choices. And so, by and large, it's never going to feel like it used to again. And that's why, again, we need to create new stuff. Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien, he's gone. You can make stuff based on his work, but as soon as you do, Lord Damn Rangs for Amazon, try to create from what he created, it's going to feel like AI garbage. So I think we all need to kind of know that. Like, it's not... once parent companies get a hold of these IPs, you can kiss them goodbye. You're going to get AI versions of the stuff that you loved, and it's going to be of varying qualities.
Yeah. So Randy Zimmerman has speculated for quite a while that a lot of the scripts and the normalization of the scripts from the corporate comics these days is actually AI. It's AI.
They're all flat and
Yeah.
they all read the same.
Wouldn't surprise me.
They're boring.
Yeah.
These, I mean,
I
even
mean-
some of the good ones are
I
No,
mean,
there's
it
no
could
soul
be-
there. There's
Yeah,
no
but-
originality. There's no there's no real talent coming through in the writing. I mean, they're
Yeah.
not taking the time, like what you just said, going through and writing and seeing a sentence that doesn't quite work right and going back
Yeah.
to the letterer and having them redo it. You're not seeing that. Well,
But
for one,
Randy-
they're on deadline, but for two, it just seems
Yeah.
totally soulless.
Yeah, but Randy, it could be AI or the product of college indoctrination, which is
Well,
what's giving us the modern
I think
writers.
it's both. I think it's both, really. I think there's a chat GBT. Well, there was a big push there for a little while to try to make all the comic scripts the same standard format. And I think the reason
Not
for
offended.
that was because they needed it to fit the demands of chat GBT.
A lot of these ideologues and stuff, they will just copy the same story anyways. Like, you've seen those trends even before AI. They'll just rewrite the same
Oh yeah,
exact
Yeah,
same
but
story and the same
there was a-
subversive plot, right? Like,
Okay.
there was a
So-
great period there where Marvel was incredibly formulaic. I mean, Steve Gerber writing Defenders, basically using the same story, same structure over and over again, but with enough originality and enough uniqueness that it still stayed really entertaining and it's just a great fun read. You're not seeing that anymore.
So-
Everybody's going out for pizza. Everybody's talking about their sex life. Nobody's
Okay.
really doing anything super dramatic or remotely heroic. The ideal of heroism is
refuse.
just gone.
I
Talk to me
refuse to
always.
think. I refuse to think that the Superman Picnic comic book was written by AI. That was written by an idiot.
that was written by an idiot, not AI.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, I want to circle back. There was one thing that
Yeah.
you said, Ethan, about the process of making Wreck Planet to a Wreck Planet and why it took so long. Was this kind of laboring over every page to make it, number one, a masterful piece of artwork, but also at the same time making a well-crafted story that gave the reader resolution.
We posted a comment earlier from Ronin Reviews. It says the story of Cyberfrog books are amazing as well. This also makes it worth the wait.
Right.
you.
But you're not seeing that from even, I mean, even in
None of the
independent,
corporate
even
comics.
within comics, even within
Yeah.
Comicsgate itself, there are people that they don't seem to put that passion in. What's some advice that you can give creators about finding that sweet spot?
It's hard to say because I'm not sure that everyone is connected the same way that I am to the stories they're telling. I'm not sure. I don't live in their heads. I don't understand what their artistic instincts are. I can't really say. But what I would just say generally is that all that matters is story. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. You're going to hear a lot of stuff about late books and all this stuff, and we deliver on time. Listen, I mean, that's great. We should get faster if we can. We should deliver on time. But what's going to stand the test of time and what is immortal are stories. And you're either telling stories or you're just selling product. And I'm here to tell stories. I have stories. I want them to be told well. I want them to be beautifully illustrated. I draw them myself. At least Cyberfrog and Rainbow the Brood. I'm gonna hire. I've got these great artists that are gonna do my extra books there. We have to kind of stay focused and remain focused on what our goal is here. And it's so easy to get kind of put off on a different track, on a different rail, thinking that our goals are something other than what they are. We came together as a community because we recognized that there were elements within the comic book industry specifically, and also movies like Star Wars, that had substituted their interest in identity politics for telling good stories. And what's those last two words there? Good stories.
Good story.
So there was never a question of, well, they're not getting to us in time. They're not producing this soulless woke crap fast enough. It's about good stories. However long that takes, whatever energy you need to put into it, you need to do that. You're being funded. You're receiving people's money and trust, and their money and trust is being given to you so that you can combat this current cultural cancer, and to try to create something new and different that they will have helped create. I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have done Cyberfrog 1 and 2 without the support of the people. I couldn't have done it. All of my backers made that possible. And I believe the reason why they wanted me to do that and why they invested their money in me to do this and Rainbow the Brute, and Mike Earthy Stallions, and Cyberfrog 3 is because they felt like maybe, as somebody who has been working in comics as long as I have, like I might be someone who would tell a story without identity politics, without woke, that might be competitive with what's coming out of the mainstream or what has come from the mainstream before that was good. And I don't want to. I don't want them to doubt that. I'm going to try my best to do that. And my best is effort. It takes time. It does take time. It takes energy, and it takes love. And I've got all of those things.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a question for you guys. Mark Miller recently talked about with a retailer thing. He talked about it's not politics, it's content, like the quality of the books. I was wondering your opinion on that. Do you think it is political, that is, or is it the content, or a bit of both that's causing the issues?
Well, I mean, the problem is that the problem is always when people diverge away from the central need to tell stories. That's what it is. It's not just that there's politics in the stories. They might be good. You don't know. It's that people are prioritizing other things. Whether you're prioritizing, your politics, whether you're prioritizing any other kind of, element to benefit of your product. It's about stories. Now I'm watching Walking Dead right now. I'm putting reviews on Twitter as I go. And I read a bunch of articles about season 9 and how they, started to inject woke politics around season 8 and season 9. Now I watched season 8 and it was all, you could tell women wrote it. These were all women who were trying to take a hold of Walking Dead, and add like the
message.
The message, as it's called, but really they were more focused on inclusion and diversity, and they lost sight of the story. They lost sight of this great survivalist story. And season 8 was pure garbage. It was just trash, and I really hated it. Season 9, though, people warned me, hey, there's like a lesbian couple that joins the cast. There's a deaf black woman who shoots zombies with a slingshot, and that sucks. There's a lot more, kind of woke. There's a lesbian kiss, and I went, oh no. Guess what? I watched season 9, and it was excellent. It was just excellent. And those woke elements were in there. But the story that Robert Kirkman had written in the book, which this stuff had been inserted into, stayed strong. So, the deaf lesbian of color, there was just, you go, well, why? What is this? Well, because there's a great scene where she's in a cornfield by herself, and she's rescued a baby, and she's holding a baby, and zombies are coming in and converging on her from every angle of the cornfield. You can't see them coming because she's in a cornfield, and they turned the sound off so that you could just hear, like this, like what you would hear underwater. And, she couldn't hear them coming in there. It was a fucking great scene. And it made sense, like, why you would have, what would the experience of being deaf be like while you're under siege from zombies. So it was good. So again, it's about story. Woke can often be like a focus on woke, a focus on inclusion and diversity and all these things that DC Comics is doing. Their characters become gay, and that's the story. The story is they're gay.
Yeah.
You can have gay characters. You can have you can be thinking about diversity and still manage to tell great stories.
I agree. This whole panel agrees.
Absolutely, 100%.
And the thing is, like, it really irks me, or rubs me the wrong way, that they use my people for their woke messaging, because I'm not a whiny guy. Like, I don't care if people like racist against me. I just won't talk to them ever again. But it's just the thing, like, oh, you have to be nice and whatnot. And yeah, this is the way I look. But I don't let that define me. And all this series are doing that. Like, we're basically crawling in a ball all night.
Well, everyone's broken down to the color of their skin and what and who is between their legs.
Yeah, it's
and those things really, I mean, people are way more nuanced than that, you know. And I think it's a detriment to their storytelling abilities when that's what we focus on, and we have to click off boxes, and people get hired to do the work that maybe because they click off a box and they're not passionate about it.
Yeah, dude. Like,
and one of the things that
last year I saw a Black Viking. What the hell?
That's awesome.
I just turned that off. I love that show, Vikings, because dude, it's a story of Ragnar Lothbrok and the sagas and whatnot. And then they have like it was a black lady that was an earl.
There were no black people there.
Yeah, Earl Jackson. It's like,
when all of that was happening, there was no Jarls there was no black people there. I mean, it's and for good reason. It's freezing up there. All black people are enough.
Yeah,
to stay where it's warmer.
Dude, I live in Canada. We don't adapt good to snow. Okay, I have to get back to the tropics.
So one of the things I would hope for everyone out there that is making a book or aspires to is to have some passion about it, to want to do it, you know, to the point to where they want it to be perfect when it comes out. There are, you know, I as a guy that takes commissions, there's stuff I turn down because the creator just doesn't seem passionate about the story they're telling. If they're not passionate about it, I'm not going to be. I'm only going to be as passionate as the person that wrote it is going to be, you know, about working on that. And I think it's I worry about people trying to make some of these deadlines. So there's this creator that I like, and she intends to every 2 months crowdfund and release an issue of her book. It's commendable idea.
No.
But as she is improving on her writing and her art team is improving and she's adding more things to, you know, the stretch goals and the extras for people to enjoy, I think she's going to find that as a one woman show, it's probably going to burn her out. And I worry that, you know, Ethan, you said you use that extra money to add more to the book, into the backing, to make it worth the $25.
Right. And to fill my swimming pool.
And well, there you go.
The heat.
There you go.
Right. Yeah. And to feed your kids, right. And your family. And I worry that some people are charging these elaborate prices. They're not adding any extra to the packages, but what they're trying to do is bolster up a team of people that they are now indebted to because they have to pay them to produce at a fast pace so that they can sell as much product as possible. And it's really the same model as the mainstream. How is it different? To me, I'm thinking, how is this different? How is this still geared towards the fan? Because in the end, if the fan is not happy with the product, you know, if the reviews are coming in and they're not great, then what good is that? You know, I think that's one of my biggest concerns.
It's story. That's all that matters. And all of these other things are distractions. Like, it doesn't matter what if you want to do 2 books a month, you could do it as long as the story's good, as long as it's a good book. All of these other things, whatever your agenda is, whatever your plan is, how's the story? How's it look? How's the art? You know, it's like, was there energy put into it? Is there love? Is somebody going to put the book down, walk away from it, and be thinking about the book all day long?
Right.
That's a great thing. One of the things that I used to say when I was working at DC is, my goal is to draw a book that you're going to read once and then you're going to read it a second time. Because most comic books, you don't do that. Most comic books, once is enough. You put it away. I got it. I understand. But if you can get somebody, if you can make a book, I think Flash Iron Heights was one of these. Green Lantern Rebirth was one of these. Sinestro Core War was one of these. I want you to read it twice and maybe more than that, because then you're kind of halfway to having made a classic. You know, if you get somebody to pick up and reread the same comic book twice, you're on your way towards a classic comic book. So, like, if you're putting energy into whatever you're doing with that idea in mind, that resolve, then whatever your agenda is okay. You want to have a team of creative people, you want to have whatever it is, that's fine. Just make good comics, and that doesn't seem to be necessarily a priority among everybody, around everybody. And I think it should be.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm not gonna, put down really what anyone wants to try to do with their business. I do like the idea of a membership thing where people have access to story earlier, where they get, special perks and things like that. But I feel like there needs to be some value there. And let's go ahead and read the super chat. Thank you. Gay Bama fan. Story art, who cares? Shipping is what makes comics. Thank you for the $2 super chat. We do appreciate that.
No one likes gay Bama. Nice.
Shipping is what it's all about.
Great.
Yeah, great
Everybody
logistics.
has their selling point. Yeah, I mean it's to say, like, look, you order my comic now and you're going to get it in 3 months or 2 months, whatever it is. That's a selling point. But it can't be instead of a good story. It's
Right.
like, that's the whole thing. Like, there has to be something that's going to make somebody choose your product over everybody else's product, and that's just marketing. But
I don't know if that's the same kind of shipping.
but like, is the comic book good? Like, that's the question. Is it good? And if it's good, great.
Are you talking about that kind of shipping, Gay Bama? Or are you talking about?
Oh, he's talking about.
Are you talking
He's
about?
talking about a whole
relationship
different
shipping.
kind of
You talking
shipping.
about Wolverine and Cyclops getting it on? I ship them.
Wow.
Comics have gotten so off the rails these days,
Yes.
and I do believe. I mean, they're funny books. They're supposed to be fun, supposed to be enjoyable. Whether it's a serious book or not.
Oh, and
Someone's laughing.
some shipping books for some people might be a great thing, but
Right. Oh, he
To
says
each their
both.
own.
He definitely eat that both
Yep.
is the thing. Thank you again for that
Oh, yeah.
super chat. We do appreciate. your
I have a
generosity.
very important question up the chat that has yet to be addressed from Hojo. Says, I just want to know one thing. When's the pie eating contest?
Right. It turns out that Ethan, I did a little survey, and you are my stiffest competition for a pie eating contest. It would seem.
Yeah, but you know what? I think you would win if you followed the rules of a pie eating contest, because, like, I would eat the entire pie, and what people do in pie eating contests is they just stick their faces in it, and they eat some of it and then consider it done.
Right.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. I would enjoy the entire pie, and I'd maybe
You know
get
what?
one done.
I think you and I are a kindred spirit in that. I was once at a watermelon eating contest, and I took one bite of the watermelon. It was so good that I slowed down, got some salt, and just ate the whole thing. And I just kept eating. They're like, "Well, you lost." I'm like, "Well, you put 3 in front of me. I'm eating all 3." So
Yeah, it's great watermelon.
I'm
though.
more
Yeah.
on. I'm more. Yeah, I can
I
get,
mean, you
a
lost.
lot in.
It
I
depends on-
lost,
it
but
depends
I
on their
really was the
goal.
winner. I was the winner. I didn't care what they said because I enjoyed that. So the third thing that I would like to commend you on is this: you have a lot of detractors and you have a lot of people that disagree with you, and you are still cordial to those people that disagree with you.
Sometimes.
Well, sometimes
I have bad days.
I agree with you on a
We all
lot
have
of
bad
things.
Everybody's got bad days.
And then I disagree with you on a few things, but that's human nature, right? We don't have to be like yes men. So, but one of the things that I want to commend you on is the fact that you do not typically block people that give you criticism online. You stay open to them. How does
Yeah,
that affect your mental health?
It's not good. I like, there are times when I feel my blood pressure rising because I read some of this stuff that I'm just like, you're an imbecile, and I want it and there are times where I will I'm not perfect. Like, I'll just be like, fuck you, to some of these people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, I kind of, when people are like critical of me, it's interesting. Like, I'll sit there and I'll go, well, I might go, well, tell me, like, why, like, what's up? And it turns out this person's a fan who's heartbroken over something that I said. It's like they're like, I buy all your stuff, I really love you, but you're a jerk. You're being really mean to Ripa or something like that, and it's just like,
yeah, you
man,
are a
like,
jerk sometimes. That's part of your charm.
Well, we all listen. I
Right?
think everybody's a jerk.
I'm pretty good
sometimes.
at being a jerk sometimes.
Yeah. I'm a jerk in 2 languages.
Yeah. Yeah, Pedro's a jerk in 2 languages.
So you can't just assume, like, when somebody's coming at you on Twitter with criticism, there are some people who are just like, seriously, they're trying to hurt your feelings, and they go too far, and they come after you. They say something about your family. They'll say something about you that's personal, and you're just like, I'm gonna block this person because they're not. I don't need this. I don't need this on my timeline. So those people will get blocked. For the most part, though, yeah, like, I'll either engage. Sometimes I'll engage negatively, but I very rarely block anyone because I'm afraid some of them are just like brokenhearted or dissatisfied customers who I can get back. And that's important.
Yeah, you do kind of treat everyone like they're either a customer or a potential customer.
Yeah.
How do you filter between this is a legitimate gripe from a fan versus the trolls? How do you filter that?
I don't filter that. I don't distinguish between those two things. A piece of criticism is either true or it isn't true. It's like, you're late with your books, Ethan.
There you go.
It can come from somebody who loves me or hates me, and it's not one. It's not more or less true depending on who it's coming from. It's just true. So I mean, that's the kind of thing. Now, somebody's saying something like, "You don't care about your work." Well, that's not true at all. Like, at all. So I mean, it's like, that's not a fair criticism of me in the slightest, and I can reject that criticism. I know that that's not true. But somebody's saying,
somebody's saying that it's almost like an hominem attack. If they're attacking your character, like, you don't love if they see your art and they say that, they're being disingenuous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if they don't really appreciate your style, like, dude, I come from an animation background. I see the level of detail you go into, and it just gives me a headache. I will never draw like that, but I do appreciate it. You know what I mean? It's just like, wow, this is amazing, and this is something he does. I'm not aspiring to be another Ethan Van Sciver, you know what I mean? But you do recognize talent. You do recognize commitment to the craft. So I don't know, man. Like, you're too patient in that regard. I will just go ballistic.
Everybody's watching all the time. People draw. That's the other thing that you need to recognize. It's like, when I do tell one of these people to fuck off. Yeah, well, I said that in front of 61,000 people.
True.
Who, what I mean? Who just go, what's wrong with Ethan?
So it's not in the background. It's not in the background like the night letter or whatever, which was in the background and then brought to the light. You've got some criticism over even sharing that. I understand why. I mean, anyone that's had a run-in with the diehard fans understands that it can get real ugly real quick, and having sometimes you have to preemptively kind of tell it, like, hey, here's the truth, just so that you know. So I know you've gotten criticism on that, but there's a lot of backroom stuff that goes on in independent comics, and I'm gonna not just say comics. I'm saying independent comics, period. Well,
comics in general.
There's a lot of backroom stuff that goes on, and it seems like every move that you make gets criticized by somebody. Either you helped the wrong person, or you didn't help a person enough, or the only reason you help people is because you somehow want to exploit those people, or
you helped me before. Why didn't you help me again?
Why didn't you help me again? Yeah. Or, and it seems like I'm just going to be honest. It seems like there's a lot of babies in this industry that use very similar SJW type mentality in a more conservative leaning side of comics. Before you came on, we were just talking and really got fired up about the idea that genderqueer was even considered being pushed to kids, and the idea that they need more books like that for kids pisses me off, and got Randy red in the face.
Yeah, it did.
We were,
no.
And to think that
I've read
now
the book.
yeah, and to think
I read
that,
it too.
Yeah, and it's That's an extremist idea that we need to protect kids from pornography. It used to be a normal person idea, but to stand on some of those things, and I understand, that Comicsgate really stands a lot on those things, but there's people that don't necessarily say they're Comicsgate, but still share those values. But there's still the criticism in the back room, and people still get lumped into a group, whether they want to claim a group or not. How much do you think that affects our ability to truly become an alternative market?
I don't know if it does at all. I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't. It's not good to lose customers over drama. It's not a good thing. But I don't think ultimately it really has anything to do with being an alternative market. These squabbles and fights. I gotta be free. The whole thing with the night letter situation was, I'm not perfect, but my instincts were telling me this is wrong. Like, this is wrong, and I sat on it for 2 months because of money. And that's all it was. It was just like, if I expose this, if I talk about this, I'm going to lose fans and customers.
Right,
I'm going to lose money. And I said to Eric at the time, I said, this is going to be bad for business if we're fighting, so I'll just let it go. And he's like, good, we're in agreement. I was like, sat on that for a while. 2 months of that. And it's like, ultimately, it's like, I can't live like that. I'd rather just kind of be off on my own on an island somewhere than have to be under somebody's thumb and you have to follow these, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, it didn't feel good. It didn't feel good to release it and talk about it, but it felt like the right thing to do. And I knew it was going to cost me some support. I knew it was going to cause trouble. I knew everybody was going to say you're just jealous and all of these awful things. These are reasons why I wouldn't have done it. All of this stuff I knew was coming, but they tried to do this to me at DC. It's like we see you hanging out with and associating with Richard C. Meyer and Captain Cummings and the Comicsgate guys. And it's a bad look, and there are going to be consequences for your career if you continue to do that. And I received that from a lot of people when I was still at DC.
So then, with all the critique of the mainstream corporate comics, how are we any better when we behave like that? You associate with this person, so you're canceled. I mean, that's problematic, I think.
Can I interject for a sec? We're 10 minutes out, just in case you're.
Yeah, we are. Yep, 9 minutes
I'm aware.
out. Excellent.
I'm aware.
Yep.
Let's talk about some positive stuff here.
Yeah.
You've got a campaign. You got 40 hours left.
Oh, good. Yeah.
40 hours left on this campaign. CG Triple Threat Variants. Explain what this campaign is and why I need to give you my money for it.
Well, it's fun. I mean, John Malin, Shane Davis, and me, we're good friends. And we a lot of people have just asked, we've got these. I think our campaigns are pretty highly funded. I don't know where they are on the top 10 or anything like that, but everybody knows Godlike and Glorious Rex and Cyberfrog. A lot of people have said it'd be fun to see you guys working together on something. This seemed like a really fun way to show a connection between the worlds that we're creating within Comicsgate. And so we did these covers where, if you haven't read any of our books before, these are the first issues reprinted with covers that connect. So you'll get Godlike #1 and Glorious Rex #1 and Cyberfrog Blood Honey with these covers that kind of connect together that each of us worked on. And the idea was to do this. I think John and Shane just thought it'd be fun to go to C2E2, I think in April this year, and have a booth and everything like that, and have convention exclusive specials. But you can also get the convention specials here on a crowdfund, and then we'll take the money that we make that's left over and we'll help use it to pay for the booth that we're going to get, and we'll have a presence at C2E2. All of this goes towards this idea that eventually we do have to make ourselves known in the mainstream. So being having a big booth at one of the biggest conventions of the year, I think is a step towards that, and we'd appreciate people's support. Go and back this campaign, and thanks very much.
Look, I'm with Blue Boy on this one. Blue Boy says, I like the idea. Selling product to help fund in-person appearances by CG creators is great. And the same thing the comic conventions do. Great way to fundraise and folks get something as well.
Yeah.
I like that. I
That is
agree.
good.
When you announced that you were doing this, I was like, yeah, that's great. That's a good idea. But he immediately got backlash. People's like, well, how dare you crowdfund to pay for your table fee? And it's like, oh,
why not? Gosh. Why not?
Not.
I think
that
they
doesn't make any
announced it
sense.
the wrong way. Like, here's the whole thing. Like, John Shane and I talked in private. Like, we need to raise this much money so that we can pay for a big booth, and we could do it easily by selling our own comics. Okay, so let's sell some comics and pay for the booth. And then it was presented to the customers like, you're helping us buy a booth. And the customers were like, wait, why are we doing that?
So. Yeah.
No, that's not what we're doing. We're selling you these comic books, and we're taking the money that we get to buy a booth. And I think it was poorly
miscommunication.
I had somebody want to share a booth, the C2E2 with me, and I looked at the price. I said, my half? No, I'm not doing that. I'm going to stay right here in Southern Indiana, keep my butt in this chair drawing, because I know I'm making money while I'm here.
Share a booth sounds very porny. I don't know.
It does. It sounds very porny. It happens. Sometimes you got to share booths.
Man, everyone's gay once in a while.
Yep.
No, this looks great.
It does. It's a good idea.
Art for your own book, or did you trade off?
Well, John Malin did the layout. And he just asked us to draw. I mean, I think Shane had to do the background. John did the foreground and his own character. And luckily, all I had to do was draw my Cyberfrog figure. And they just they put it in there. They photoshopped it in. We all got together on a StreamYards, and we photoshopped the cover together.
Nice.
Just to make sure there were no tangents. Move him this way. Shrink him. Do this. And came out. It looks great. I think it came out really, really nice.
So I've been a fan of Cyberfrog since the 90s, right? So you started releasing them in 93, I believe. 94, I found a copy. 94, 95, I found a copy. And I found a copy, with some of Randy's books from Arrow Comics back in the day as well.
In the day.
Back in that day.
In the day.
And, fell in love with alternative comics. I always wanted to work for Marvel and DC. Growing up, Marvel, I wanted to draw X-Men, but it was when I started getting a little older and I found those independent comics doing it my way, and it just worked for that Gen X mentality that I had, that F the establishment. I want to, I'm the rule maker now. And I wanted to do it. It inspired me. It inspired me to, kind of do what we're doing today. And I'll be honest, I hate seeing the infighting all the time in comic books. I think it's pointless.
Yep.
But man, look at that. Cyberfrog has always been one of my favorite design characters.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
So, genuinely cool.
I would love to animate it, though. Like, that's something I would like to take a crack at.
You mentioned in some of your older videos where you would actually talk about the skill of drawing, the secrets of being a comic artist pro, right? And one of the things you said is to draw like a rubber band and stretch them, make your character stretchy. And I use that to this day. Like even a kid running up the stairs, I make him stretchy. I pose him like a little wireframe guy, in such a way to where he's, it just feels more dynamic because so much of art today, especially, you talked about using models all the time, and the 3D tools are great. I mean, don't get me wrong. They can be very effective, help you speed up your efforts, but using 3D elements all the time makes things so static and so dull.
Stiff.
And really, you can see in every panel that you draw Cyberfrog that he's so stretchy.
Yeah, I love what I do. I love all my characters. They're real to me. I care about them. I could tell you, you could ask me questions about them. I will answer them. Like I know everything about them. They're real. I'm in a great spot. I'm happy to be drawing them. It's amazing that Cyberfrog is back. I'm so glad that he is. All through my DC career, I'd have people come up to me and say, "When are you bringing Cyberfrog back?" And I just look at them like, "What do you mean? I'm at DC." It's so cool that he's back. I'm having so much fun drawing him and writing his stories. And like I said at the beginning of this, I have his story. I have all the way from the beginning before he arrived all the way to the end, you know, the solution to the entire story. It's I can't wait to tell it. You know, I wish I could just I wish I could move faster. I know everybody does, but then they wouldn't like the book. So
I think we're willing to wait. I think we're willing to wait for you. Ethan, thank you so much for being here today.
Quality takes time.
Yeah.
You know, before we go, Glenn Fleming says, thanks to all the panel, especially Ethan. This has been one of the very best discussions I've heard on a podcast ever.
Oh, cool.
Guys, we are at the, we got a minute left. So thank you, Ethan, for humoring us, being here, answering our questions. You've been very helpful. Been a great discussion today. We do appreciate your input. Thanks for all you do for independent comics. And, well, this guy's got your back, man. I'm on Team Ethan, so I do appreciate what you're doing out there. Guys, don't forget to go check out everybody's work that they're doing. Randy over at aerocomics.store. Find some of mine there. Pedro is now in the Aero Comics family. Whiskey's doing work for you as well. Find him on the old Twitter, on the old twat. And then don't forget to check out fundmycomic.com, guys. We really appreciate you be there. Remember, build up more than you tear down. Leave the woodpile higher than you found it. And by all means, please be careful out there.
Let's be careful out there. Let's be careful out there. We had a 187 at the 7-Eleven on the corner of 4th and Main. Two Caucasians of the male persuasion put a bullet through the cashier's brain. Moving on, I see a 211, half a dozen 459, 2 W's a DTA, and several miscellaneous fines. Homicide.